You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food, no matter what you're craving. From 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings. Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week all season long. Uber Eats, the official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now for game day. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Giants Extra Point is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. Citizens is made ready for Giant fans. Hackensack Meridian Health, keep getting better. Kendra Scott, game day and every day. Score a jewelry touchdown with Kendra Scott. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. And by Moody's, decode risk, unlock opportunity. Learn more at moodys.com. Welcome to Giants Extra Point, everybody. The Giants fall to the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday Night Football, 17-7. John Schmeelk, Jonathan Casillas, Bob Papa with you. After this Giants disappointing loss at home, we will have Brian Dable at the podium. We'll have Daniel Jones at the podium and all the other reaction from the locker room. Paul Dottino will join us. And, guys, this is the bottom line. Against a Bengals team that in their last 4 weeks allowed 26 points to the Chiefs, 38 points to the Commanders, 24 points to the Carolina Panthers, 41 points to the Baltimore Ravens. The Giants play 4 quarters of football and score 7 points. Against Joe Burrow, as well as the Giants' defense played, you're not winning a game, Bob Papa, scoring 7 stinking points.
Yeah, and when you only convert 5 of 15 on third down against a team that was 31st in the NFL in third down defense, and when you don't rush the ball worth a you-know-what, you're not going to win. I mean, the Giants had 106 and 13 is 119 yards rushing, but it wasn't a good running game. I mean, Tyrone Tracy, 17 carries, 50 yards. Gray, 3 for 13. You know, the 2 leading rushers in this game were the 2 quarterbacks. Jones had 56, Burrow had 55. But, look, Daniel Jones played bad tonight. Played bad. Missed some receivers. You can't have the ball in the red zone and under pressure. Just take the sack, man, or throw it away.
I don't even know who he was trying to throw the ball to, Bob.
Yeah, because he got hit as he was throwing it. Maybe he was just trying to airmail it out of the end zone, but
maybe.
Unless you're certain, you can't turn it over there. And you have missed field goals, a field goal to tie the game that you missed left. Forget about the one at the end, although it's concerning that you missed it.
And by the way, there were a bunch of plays where the receivers couldn't create separation either in the secondary.
Correct. And one of the big plays in this game was a busted play that Joe Burrow laid it out perfectly for Jamar Chase for 33 yards. And unfortunately, when you lose a game like this, you look at everything. I said it before I called the play. Burrow is a threat to run. And they had the perfect play on a 3rd and 18. He goes 47 yards for a touchdown. The Giants are all out of whack in their assignments. He goes almost untouched the whole way. And then on a 3rd and 12 at the end of the game, when you had a chance to get off the field, get the ball back down 3 points, you give up a 29-yard pass.
And, JC, I want to go to you on that play. I thought it was very smart by Burrow and the Bengals play caller on offense to see what Geno Smith did last week. But I know you said 3rd and long, playing man there. That's an inherent risk.
Yeah, I don't understand. 3rd and long, defensively, you've been doing good. The 3rd down on that drive earlier, it was also man-to-man, which Burrow got the first down with his legs. I think it was 11-yard rush on 3rd and 10. And then you get down there, defense play, I think, very well that drive. And then, like you said, Bob, they were out of whack before the play even started. And then you send Isaiah Simmons, which was the only available guy. And that was really like the only big play they had, of course, until the end of the game where they drove the ball down and they made that nice pass to Yoshivos on the sideline. But the defense did what they were supposed to do against
Correct.
a very prolific offense. This offense has scored a lot of points this year, and they were getting them off the field. And I was talking about how good Joe Burrow looked, how he never looked under duress. Throughout his whole entire career, he looked under duress tonight.
And I want to give Shane Bowen credit. How many times, Bob, did you see Burrow back to throw, try to get it to his first target, and have to pull the ball back and try to go to his second or third? I thought they really schemed him up really well to make him hold the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned the 2 third-down plays that were big, but let us not, at any point in time, lay this at the feet of the Giants' defense, right? I gave you the 3rd and 18, but that was the first drive of the game. And it was 7-7, 10-7 the entire second half. Listen to this stat that NBC put up. The Bengals have allowed 10 or more points in 75 straight games, which was the longest active streak.
Oh, man.
The Giants scored 7. I mean, again, we talk about not being the get-right game. And tonight was the get-right game for the Bengals defense. They looked like the Chiefs defense tonight.
It looked like they had 12 guys on the field the whole game.
And listen, I wasn't a fan of the Giants coming out going against a run defense that's as bad as this, and you throw it the first 3 plays of the game. Like, let's attack their weakness. But with that said, the offensive line was not good tonight. They were really not good. They let a lot of pressure on the quarterback that got Jones flushed out of the pocket. They didn't run block well at all. Even on the 3rd and 1 in a 10-7 game, Tracy loses a yard. I know he slipped, but it wasn't blocked well anyway. Their blocking, their run blocking, their pass blocking was not good in this game. Listen, there's no other way to say it. They were horrible offensively tonight as a unit. You could spread the blame in every which way but Sunday, right? But it starts with the quarterback. And then it goes to the O-line, and then it goes everywhere else on that offensive unit.
The 2 plays, one you already mentioned, the interception. The other one that killed me in the first half was the deep over route to Wan'Dale Robinson, where he has a good 3 or 4 steps on the defender.
Got to hit it.
That's JC a pass. Wherever the opportunity, that's a pass that's got to be completed.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a great route ran by him. I thought it was a great play scheme, and then he had the guys beat by 3 or 4 yards. And I'm not saying it's an easy pass, but that's the pass that you have to make.
You have to. That's wide open.
And this is the thing we've seen, especially here at home, the routine plays that the Giants should make, they aren't making on offense. Whether it's a drop by a wide receiver, underthrown or overthrown ball by the quarterback. And it's become a habit here in MetLife. I don't know what's going on here at MetLife that they just cannot perform offensively.
Quick timeout. Today's game breakdown that was brought to you by our local Ford stores. One engine drives this team. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com. Ford, official truck of the Giants. Giants fall to the Bengals 17-7. Coming up next, Brian Dable at the podium. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
Back here on Giants Extra Point. Giants fall to the Bengals 17-7. John Schmeelk, Jonathan Casillas, Bob Papa are waiting. Brian Dable at the podium. We're breaking down this game. Obviously, a lot of offensive failures. Pro Football Focus has their tracking up here. They have the Bengals for 17 total pressures in this game. They had the 3 sacks, a couple of quarterback hits as well. And, Andrew Thomas is one of the guys on this offense, guys, you can always count on playing really, really well. Trey Hendrickson, he got the better of him tonight in a couple of those one-on-one matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but then the crucial mistake, too, on that pass to Slayton.
That's a great point.
And that was like getting the momentum. The crowd was still into it, still
first
engaged.
Drive of the 3rd quarter.
But this is the thing about this crowd. This crowd is not here to look at poor performances. They're not here to look at 7 points at a home
And by the
game.
way, this crowd was not quick to boo tonight.
No, they was not.
They were not.
They were
ready to go.
patient.
They were ready
patient.
to go.
They were waiting for a play to happen. It just never happened throughout the entire game.
What is it? Well, they've only had a winning record at home once over the last 7 seasons. That was 2 years ago when they were 5-3-1 because they had the 9th home game. I mean,
Bob, it took them 10 quarters to score a touchdown in the building this year.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame the fans were in full throat, and I know a lot of them are listening on the way home. The fans were great.
No, they were
tonight.
fantastic.
They were.
And they, I think. The way the Giants ended the first half, I was down on the field getting ready for the ceremony, despite the fact that they were, being shut out at that point. They got the sack on Burrow late in the half. Azeez Ojulari gets the sack. And then the
2
Giants,
sacks in a row.
And the Giants wind up taking a knee, and they go to the locker room, and fans are like, okay, man, we just held Joe Burrow to 7 points. Like, we're right in this thing. So the fans were engaged. But, I mean, you can understand why there's a huge frustration with Giants fans. You come into games, I mean, 0-3 at home, start the season. And, scoring 7 points against a bad defense.
You mentioned a couple of the sacks there, so let's give some credit to the defense. Jonathan and I, Bob, had this conversation before the game. Giants led the league in sacks coming into Week 6. And we talked, and we're like, you know what? Game in, game out, did it feel like the Giants had a dominating pass rush that was completely disrupting the opposition? We weren't quite so sure. But this game, I felt like at times that pass rush really did control the tempo of the game. And it was a team effort. It was Brian Burns getting in there. Azeez Ojulari had a couple of sacks. Dexter Lawrence had that 1 sack. He got double-teamed a lot over the course of the game. This pass rush tonight felt like, all right, this is why the Giants invested all of that in the pass rush. The first-round pick for Thibodeau, the trade for Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence contract extension, Azeez Ojulari's second-round pick. This is what it was supposed to look like. It worked. The formula worked. You held Joe Burrow to 17 points because he was under duress the entire game.
And a lot of hits on him, too. Like my son Will, who's doing the stats, he's like, before the game we're on the field, he goes, we need Azeez to have a Ring of Honor type night because Thibodeau's out. You know what? Azeez Ojulari stepped up to the plate. Not only did he get the 2 sacks, he got pressures, and he forced the fumble. He forced the fumble that the Giants recovered after the Giants got stopped on a 4th down. Now the Bengals are right there in scoring range at the Giant 21. Azeez forces the fumble.
Intentional grounding, he forced that play too.
Exactly right. So
Giants credited with 7 quarterback hits in addition to those 4 sacks.
Yeah, according to the final stat sheet. Yeah, and I bet you if you ask Joe Burrow after the game in the locker room, he's going to say, I think I was hit more than 7 times in the game.
Yeah,
those are press box stats with guys looking through binoculars.
Very conservative, usually, those quarterback hit stats.
They definitely played very well on defense. Watching this offense on film, especially like last week against a very tough Ravens defense, they were doing everything. They were breaking tackles. They were catching contested passes, which they did tonight. But the Giants were step in step with those guys the whole entire game.
And listen, the Bengals came into the game, 4th in the NFL in third down conversion rate. The Giants held them to 4 of 11.
Let's go to the coaches' press conference brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Here's Brian Dable.
Missed the quarterback run early on a rush lane, but they played winning football. To hold those receivers to what we held them to the pass game. I think Burrow had about 50 yards rushing, but hats off to the way the defense played. Missed 2 opportunities in the kicking game, and then didn't score enough points offensively. And that starts with me. And it's hard to win games when you score 7 points, and that's the reality of it.
Why do you think the offense struggled so much tonight?
That's probably a number of things, Dan. I'll go back and watch the tape. I thought we had some opportunities, throughout the game. Whether it be run, whether it be pass. We turned the ball over down there, on that drive, which was a good drive, and to come away with no points. And then I think 5 of 15, somewhere around there. Now we were aggressive on 4th down, as I thought we needed to be against this offense, but just couldn't generate any explosive plays. We had the penalty, and then other than that, we didn't hit many explosive plays. So that's okay. That's in a nutshell before watching it.
On that first series of the second half there, we did go for it on 4th on the 38, didn't make it, and then come back. Is that just a matter of if you just trying to jumpstart your offense?
Yeah, I mean we didn't have any points. Felt good about stuff that we had. We were going a little bit up tempo, and our defense did a great job after that. Of holding them, getting the ball back, and then going down and scoring. But it's hard to win football games when you score 7 points. That's the reality of it.
Can you explain what happened on that interception, Brian?
Yeah, Daniel was getting pressure, and he tried to throw it, out of the back of the end zone, and not what we want to do. So, that was a tough one. I'm sure he'd like to have that back, and I'd like to have, certainly the play call back when you get a result like that.
Trying to hit Theo on the backside there, or do you want him to take Tracy in the flat there? And that's
yeah. I mean, with the pressure, they looped around Jermaine. We had a chance at Tracy or throw it at his feet if we don't have him. It was a shot type of play to Theo. And again, if we got sacked, we got sacked. Obviously, we don't want to turn the ball over in that situation, and you can put that on me.
It seemed like a similar decision to the one against Cleveland where Malik batted it away. Is there anything that you can, where again he's kind of just tossing it up there, kind of multiple guys have a chance to bring it down?
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to throw it to complete it, but certainly a decision that I know that we'd like to have back. But you can put that on me.
So what about on Andrew's penalty there on the long play to Slayton?
Yeah, it was downfield.
What's that a product of?
Yeah, it was an RPO. So run pass option, read the defense, usually get out of your hands quick. I thought he did. Andrew's blocking the run, and looked to me like it was the right call. So that was 2 penalties for 9 yards, but that was a 60-yard gain that totally changed field position.
You mentioned the third down struggles. Did they do anything differently that you had to adjust to?
No.
Is there any, what can you put your finger on? Like, offensively, you have 1 touchdown in 3 games at home, but you have had a lot more success away.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with execution. So, 7 points won't get it done.
What led to it being such a polar opposite from a week ago, Brian, where the offense really seemed to be working against Seattle to now?
I mean, every week, Connor, I tell you this, it's a week-to-week league. Every week's different. So we didn't execute as well as we executed last week. Overall, I'm not just saying, I'm saying everybody, and that starts with me.
Brian, was there anything on offense you felt you could lean on? I mean, obviously in the first half you couldn't run it. Second half you could run it a little better. Was there anything that you felt, okay, at least I can lean on this?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's some good things that we did, and obviously not a good enough. But we'll go back, we'll look at it. Again, the ultimate deal is scoring points, whether it's run, pass, whatever it may be. So when you're inconsistent with the things that we're inconsistent with right now, the result is 7 points, and that all starts with me.
We talked a lot a couple weeks ago about the deep balls not connecting. We had a couple last week, and I felt like it was kind of back to not being able to connect tonight. What do you think was the problem tonight?
Yeah, we'll take a look at it then. Every week's different. So we hit them last week, we didn't this week. I mean, that's a simple answer.
Holding you back, not being able to hit those with any level of consistency.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're not going to be an 80% completion rate when you throw deep balls. You're going to hit some, you're going to miss some. Obviously they help. They help a great deal in terms of ending drives and points when you hit them. Whether that's catch and run, like it was on the one we got called back, or a downfield shot to Wandell on a crosser or whatever it may be. So keep working at it.
Did you consider a 54-yard field goal out of Greg's range, or were you just reacting to the miss prior to that?
Yeah, I thought it was right on the cusp. We felt like that was the best thing to do, is to go for it on that fourth down there. The one to Slayton. Yeah, felt good about the call. Still feel good about the call, and made a good play.
Kick a field goal on second down rather than taking 2 shots at the end zone and then kicking it.
We're in we have a situation there that we've practiced. Go ahead and kick that field goal, get it back with a little bit more time to go ahead and we need 2 scores. So field goal, touchdown. You don't want to waste any more time. We felt we were in, go ahead and kick the field goal right there, and unfortunately didn't make it.
Right. When you say you still feel good about that call, the incompletion to Slayton, what makes you say that after?
No, the decision to go for it. Yeah, I would do it again.
Do you think any of the issues with the 2 missed field goals tonight, could they have been contributed just to a new holder?
No, I mean, look, he's held for a long time. We felt comfortable with him out there. We're not going to make an excuse for that.
You had to use a timeout on one of those 4th downs. Did you have a headset issue, or what? Or was that just personnel? Yeah.
Yeah.
You have fixed after just that wasn't one play?
Yeah, it was after that one, and then they grabbed it and switched it out.
Any significant issue with Andrew ankle or?
Don't have anything for you.
Anything else? What's your optimism level on Malik returning this week?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll ask the doctors here where he's at. So, day to day.
That's Brian Dable at the podium. We'll take a quick timeout, come back. Give you more analysis of this game. We'll hear from Daniel Jones at the podium as well. The Giants fall to the Bengals 17-7 on Sunday Night Football. We'll be right back with Giants Extra Point.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
Back here on Giants Extra Point, Bengals beat the Giants 17-7. Daniel Jones is at the podium. Let's listen in.
Okay, physically, and you concerned about that long term?
No, I'm not. I feel good.
Is there any added frustration? There was, the Cowboys and Washington lost today, and Philly didn't look that great. This could have put you right back in the race.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to win every game, every time we play. So regardless of what's going on across the league or in our division, we're always trying to win the game we're playing. So it's frustrating for that reason.
Did you guys make a decision at halftime to be more aggressive with going for the fourth downs offensively?
I think that was something we had talked about throughout the week is being aggressive in those situations. Some came up there in the second half, and some we executed well, and then some we didn't. So we've got to look at where we can clean those up.
How frustrating is it on a day that the defense plays like it did not to be able to score more than 7 points?
Yeah, it's very frustrating to not score more than 7 points.
Daniel, you mentioned you've made progress like in the game in Seattle offensively. You said it's kind of frustrating not to keep that rhythm. How do you avoid not kind of riding the wave of this and keeping it going in the right direction there?
I mean, I think, we just gotta execute. Got to execute throughout the game. Take advantage of the opportunities we have and convert them. It starts in the beginning of the game, help you get into a rhythm, and then sustain it throughout. So, like I said, we'll look at the film and see where we could have improved that.
Daniel, how difficult is it to not have big explosive plays, to have to execute play after play after play after play?
Yeah, it makes it tough. Makes it tough when you have to do that in this league. I think credit to their defense. I think their scheme and their plan is to prevent some of those plays, but we gotta execute and find a way to generate some of them.
Do they change it up, Daniel, on the back end as far as coverage-wise, what they usually do to try to take away some of the plays?
I think, they had a good game plan. Some different things here and there, but it was largely what they do, and we just gotta execute. It's about what we do and making sure we're doing what we got to do to move the ball and score points.
How can you guys prevent, like the illegal man downfield on Andrew? You guys hit a monstrous play, comes back. How do you prevent those types of MEs? I mean, is that just repping things consistently?
Well, I think in a lot of those RPO type plays, stuff like that can come up, and it's tough. I think obviously Andrew's blocking for the run, and he's got a job to do there. So you try to avoid it where you can, but it's the risk you run when you're running some of those RPO type plays.
What did you learn about Tracy tonight that maybe you didn't know?
Played well. I mean, played well last week in Seattle, and came in, ran tough, made some plays in the pass game. Thought he had a good night.
After you guys had a missed field goal, and then you get back in the field goal range, down 3. I think it would have been a 54-yarder. Your coach goes for it again. Obviously, you had gotten 2 fourth downs on the touchdown drive. Just curious, how you feel about in that moment. Would you rather see a tie game versus going for it and trying to get?
Yeah, I mean, I like the opportunity to go for it. Him trusting us to get it, and we got to convert. We got to execute and do that. So, that's Dave's decision. I like him trusting us, and we got to convert.
The ugly primetime narrative is still there. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just focused on winning games, playing well, winning games. Tough one tonight, but we've got another opportunity next week, and that's what we got to do is focus on that and get ready to go.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
That's Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. Player press conferences are brought to you by MetLife, the official insurance company of the New York Giants. Our buddy Matt Stopsky down there, we missed the first question of the Daniel Jones press conference. He was asked about the interception, and he said he was trying to get it to the back of the end zone, as Brian Dable referenced, trying to throw it away. And he said he needed to try to get rid of that ball earlier, obviously, before the contact came. And Brian Dable talking about, Bob, that was a shot play, trying to take the shot. He'd like the play call back. But look, you're in shot territory. Sometimes the shot's not going to be there, and you have to be able to adjust to that shot not being there and not make a mistake.
Look, I respect Coach Dable in that situation. We got a shot play dialed up. I take ownership. It's on me. Wish I had the play call back. Nah, come on. Daniel Jones is in his 6th year. He's got to make a quicker decision at that moment, either dump it out to Tracy as he sees the pressure, throw it to Johnson at his feet for an incompletion, or just eat it and take a sack.
Or make a miss. That was a big D tackle, and Daniel Jones can make people miss.
Well, I think, though, the way he was kind of backing up, I'm not sure if he could have, because he does a lot of the other times. I just think he's got to be smarter with the football there. Like, he just can't make that mistake, man. In year 6, you cannot make that mistake when your defense is playing as well as they are.
I fully agree with that. He's no Lamar Jackson like we saw the week prior. Lamar made all those guys miss. But in a situation like that, I agree with you. There's a lot of other decisions that could have been made, and that was the last thing that I thought he would do in that decision. He was so close to him.
Guys, it is a 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line. You take a sack there. What is it, a 6-yard loss, a 7-yard loss?
Exactly.
So you have it 2nd and 16.
Yeah.
All right. You throw for 7 yards on the next play. You have it 3rd and 9, and you try to convert it.
Because
it's not that big of a deal taking a sack.
And I think the reason why he didn't throw it to Tracy was because the pressure was coming from his right side.
Correct.
And it happened really fast. And I just feel like he was sitting in there trying to make a play, but at that point, just eat it and take the sack. And again, year 6 in the league. This isn't year 1 or 2. And that's all part of the recipe of why the Giants lost this game tonight. Their inability to run, their inability to protect, their inability to make right decisions. Again, in a game this close, that throw to Wan'Dale Robinson has to be made on that crossing route. That's move the chains, keep momentum going. I don't know what the answer is right now.
One other note. And
they seem to play a lot better offensively. If you think about the Washington game where they're moving the ball up and down the field without a kicker, and they drop a pass on 4th down. But that, if you have a kicker, you probably win that game. You think of where they played in Cleveland, and you think of where they played in Seattle.
They even moved the ball against Dallas. They just couldn't score touchdowns.
Correct, but it's the home thing that's really weird, man. They play on the road, and they move, and they score, and everything else, and they play at home, and it's just
a struggle. It's a struggle.
They're definitely not the same team. That team on the road plays efficient offensive football. They do. They convert 3rd downs. Daniel Jones looks so much better than he does at home. He comes here, he looks like a whole different quarterback. I don't know what that's about. I mean, the fans are coming here to see some points being scored. They are here. It wasn't, I don't know if it was 100% capacity, but it was pretty close.
And I give the fans credit for not getting on them in this game, getting on the team nearly as badly as they could have. Because what the defense was doing was they were getting sacks and hits and stops, so they kept it. It was within range. I mean, you're only down 3 points in the 4th quarter, so it enabled the fans to stay supportive.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
But the energy level, like the offense sucked the energy level out of the stadium. The defense can keep it going, but it starts like this, starts at a very high level. It was loud when the game first started. But even if the Giants converted later in the game, because there was no points on the board, they don't really have too much to get too excited about. And by the time you score, the energy's already down. Those beers don't hit that harder anymore at the end of the 3rd when you got 0 points on the ball.
And look, the Giants in this game, and Daniel Jones was asked this question, or maybe it was Brian Dable. How tough is it and how much does it hurt when you're unable to make explosive plays? And I think it was Brian Dable who said, look, it makes it a lot more difficult. You score touchdowns in this league by making explosive plays. The Giants did not have one play this entire game go for more than 15 yards. You want to know why you scored 7 points? That's the stat.
Yeah, and conversely, Cincinnati gets a 47-yard touchdown run by their quarterback. And then on a play in which the Giants have Burrow under pressure, he's moving all off his spot and everything else, and they hit Chase with a 33-yarder over the top.
Same one to Yushivas. When he got away from Adora, he rolled to his left, and he made a great throw down the field.
Correct. And meanwhile, Jones missed Wan'Dale Robinson on third. Like, those are big situations. You know, I know you have to count it. But almost at the end of the game, the 30-yard touchdown run by Brown, I almost don't even count that at that point because the game was kind of tout fini. And even in the situation where they forced the fumble, and Pinnock, it's not like, listen, I'm not going to blame Pinnock in the sense that it's not like he tried to scoop it up and run with it.
That's a tough play.
Dove for it, and it's a play you make in the NFL. He just didn't do it, you know, and it's kind of but this is not a game to really talk about defensive failures.
Right, again, the times Jones did buy some time and break the pocket, did anyone break open down the field like Yushivas did? Or Jamar Chase make a play in coverage against the defensive back? We didn't see that. Let's take a quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll get more from the locker room, do a little more analysis of the game. Giants fall to the Bengals 17-7. We'll be right back. Giants football is brought to you by our local Ford stores. Our engine drives this team. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com. Ford, official truck of the Giants. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is Tyrone Tracy Jr., and you're listening to the radio home of Big Blue, The Fan, WFAN, and WFAN-FM, New York.
Jones in a shotgun set. Takes the snap, fakes the handoff, now tosses it right for Tracy. He jukes, lowers his shoulder, and he gets the first down. An old college option.
Yeah.
Gain of 4. Jones over center. They're 1 for 2 on fourth downs on this drive. Hodgins in motion left. Hands it off for Tracy. Bounces left. He's got the first down. Great vision by the rookie before he's tripped up at the 31. High set. Jones calls signals. Takes the snap. Hands it off. Running to the end zone and in for the touchdown Giants. Tyrone Tracy. The Giants convert 2 fourth downs. Tracy punches it in from a yard out. And with 5:48 to go in the third, the Giants are an extra point away from tying it.
A 16-play, 61-yard drive, and you talk about lack of explosives. It took 16 plays to move the ball 61 yards. And by default, that was tonight's scoring drive of the game. Why? It was the Giants' only scoring drive of the game.
It was a 79-yard drive, though.
79, yep.
Net yards, yes. Yeah, you know why? There was the pass interference. That gave him the 18. Correct. I apologize. So 79 net yards on that. On the 18-yard penalty with the pass interference. That was tonight's scoring drive of the game, brought to you by Citizens. For every scoring drive this season, Citizens will donate $750 to the Giants Foundation to support their work tackling important community issues, improving overall health, and empowering our youth. And if you look at the Giants' offense, Tyrone Tracy, it's hard to argue he wasn't their best offensive player today. 17 carries, just 50 yards, 3 yards a carry, and that touchdown. But he also tied for the Giants' lead in receptions and receiving yards, 6 catches, 57 yards. But even Tyrone Tracy, who I thought played well, guys, on that crucial 3rd and 1, he gets the ball, tries to cut a field, he slips in the backfield. That turns it into the 4th and 2. They have to pass on 4th down because he lost a yard on the run, and that was the failure on 4th down that eventually gave the Bengals the ball back.
Look, how many games were played in the NFL today where a team won and didn't have a single run or pass over 20 yards? I guarantee you there's no team that had that and won a game. You watch the games today, watching all the games today.
A lot of points are scored today, too, Bob.
Points are scored, and there's explosive plays. There's a well-blocked run that goes for 25. There's a pass play for 20. You can't win when your longest play from scrimmage is 15 yards. Slayton had a 15-yarder. Robinson had a 15-yarder. Theo Johnson had a 15-yarder, and your longest run was from your quarterback, 13 yards. You're not going to win in the NFL.
Not at all.
No.
The blunders here at home, though. Like, it's like the offense falls apart. Special teams is out of whack. It's here in MetLife. I don't know what that's about, though. You know, and I keep coming back to that because the fans, they want to support a good product. You know, these seats are not cheap. You know, that's what I've been hearing from the fans for years. You know, and the Giants just not putting out a good product out there for them to feel good about supporting a team that on the road this year don't look that bad. They look pretty good, last week against Seattle in a tough, very tough environment over in Seattle. 0 mistakes, pre-snap penalties. Offensive line was able to run the football. Offense looked capable, and they come here at home. It's like they forget how to play football. Defense looked good, but besides that, man, there wasn't too many positives to take out of this game today, man. I think everybody's feeling that. Shout out to all the fans that came to the game and that's listening to us on the way home, man. And we appreciate you, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Giants, again, just could not get anything going on the offensive side of the ball here.
For years, and I have a couple buddies in the golf world that are big Vikings fans, and for years, we heard, Kirk Cousins in primetime. Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones at this point now, he's 1-14 in primetime games, right? And he's not doing anything to dispel the narrative in these primetime games.
And, Bob, I said that during our pregame show. I said, look, against a defense that has played this poorly, if there was ever a game where the Giants offense had been clicking pretty well the last couple of games, this was the game for him to dispel a lot of those national narratives about not even just his primetime play, just his overall play. And there were opportunities to do it tonight, and they just weren't able to pull it off.
Well, yeah, and this was an opportunity to dispel, forget about national narratives, Giant fan narratives.
Correct, absolutely.
Right, Giant fan, because he is the hot-button issue.
Correct.
And he didn't do anything tonight that you can say, well, I can defend him on this. Like every fan that has an arrow to shoot, what are you going to say? What are you going to say? Red zone turnover, missed opportunities, some, poorly thrown footballs that could have been completions to pressure and everything else. And, his last primetime, his only primetime win was December 18th of 2022 at Washington.
He's 0 for at home, Bob.
Yeah, he's 1 for 14. He's 0 for at home. And you were going against a team coming into the game that had lost 9 of 11 on Sunday Night Football. So it's not like Joe Burrow was lighting it up on Sunday nights either. But, the fans are gonna have their arrows out, and we can't sit here and honestly say, yeah, but this, yeah, but that. It was a poor effort across the board, but just like the praise goes to the quarterback, the biggest shouting is going to go at the quarterback.
And when you look at the stats is a great indicator on what's truly happening. But then also the eye test, the visual eye test, it's bad. It might be worse than the stats. When you look at how the game is being played and you see the game, you see how it looks on TV. I mean, we're up here in the booth, and it doesn't look good up here. And I know that people at TV, they're getting the replays. They're seeing the mistakes happen in slow motion. They're getting all the extra views. The eye test is what fans really go off of, not the stats that we're looking up and we're looking at every time.
Well, look at Joe Burrow's numbers. He was 19 of 28 for 208. Not a typical Joe Burrow kind of game. He was sacked 4 times. He was hit a ton. No touchdown passes, no interceptions. But in a couple of big spots, like the third down pass play, 29 yards, first down, seal the game. Under pressure, scramble to his left a little bit. Lays it over perfectly. It's not like Cardell's Flott had terrible coverage. It took a perfectly placed throw to hit Jamar Chase for 33. And the Giant fans are saying, our guys got to make some of those plays.
The NFL's tough, right? You're only going to have a handful at most, usually 2 or 3 chances in a game to make a big play. That a guy's going to break open.
Parcells always said there were about 5 plays in a game, and if you could make 5 or 6, and if you can make 3 to 4 of them, the team that makes 3 to 4 of those sort of turning point kind of plays is the one that wins.
Yeah, which team takes advantage of those opportunities? And the Giants were not able to take advantage of very many, if any, of those opportunities for big plays on either side of the ball tonight.
And I think that's the thing that we've been saying this season. Failure to capitalize on opportunities, right? I thought the Giants would have to score 30 points against this Cincinnati Bengals offense.
I said the same thing.
Everybody said this was going to be a high-scoring game.
This is it. We didn't think we were going to use the punter, and the punter punted the ball fairly well today.
He was fine.
And to come out here, defense held up. It didn't start the way it was, but look, the 2 Giants wins that they had on the road, those games started horrendously for the Giants, and they figured out a way to respond. They were resilient. They showed that resilient group. They showed the Daboll culture that I feel like he has established here. But for some reason at home, they just look like a totally different team. They don't look like a resilient group. They don't look like they respond to adversity, and they don't make the plays at the end of the game to win the game. You say 4 or 5 plays throughout the game, there's 1 or 2 in the fourth quarter that they fail to make consistently at home.
Bob, final thoughts, or are you going to stick around another segment?
I'll take one more segment. I just want to give it, a shout out to Brian Burns, who played a really good game tonight. He played really well. I mean, a lot of the guys in the defense played
Pass
really
rushers
good game.
were above and beyond.
Tyler Newman.
We talked about who was going to step up in place of Kayvon Thibodeau. I said it was going to be Ojulari and Brian Burns. Those guys played outstanding
How about the
today.
whole secondary? This is T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Indeed.
They didn't take over this game.
Not too much separation.
And let me ask you this. Of T. Higgins, 7 catches for 77 yards, which is 11 a pop. How many of his were just the dude 6 foot 220 and bigger than most of the guys tackling him, and he just blew through a bunch of tackles to add to that yardage total? It's not like he was running wild. It's not like, look, Chase had 5 for 72. 33 came on one play. 33 came on one play. So they did a really good job.
Yeah.
Let's pause 10 seconds and give our station a chance to identify themselves on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
WFAN, WFAN FM, WFAN FM HD1 New York, and Odyssey Sports Station.
Giants fall to the Bengals 17-7. Let's take a quick timeout. We'll return. We'll bring Carl Banks in for a couple minutes, and then we'll continue to analyze this game and get some more sound from the locker room. We'll be back with more after this.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is Brian Burns, and you're listening to the radio home of Big Blue, The Fan, WFAN, and WFAN FM, New York.
Burrow in a shotgun set from the Giant 39. Takes the snap, back, pumps, under pressure, and he's going to get sacked on the play. Brian Burns got the initial pressure, and then the Giants cleaned it up. Burns with 2 sacks coming into the game. That's a loss of 5.
That's tonight's Play of the Game, brought to you by our local Ford stores. One engine drives this team. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com. Ford official truck of the Giants. Back here on Giants Extra Point. Giants fall to the Bengals 17-7 on Sunday Night Football. John Schmeelk, Bob Papa. Now we welcome in Carl Banks here. And Carl, let's start first with the defense. We'll have a chance to talk about the issues on offense. We talked about a little bit earlier on the show that when Joe Shane brought in Brian Burns this offseason to add him to Dexter Lawrence, you bring back Kayvon Thibodeau, Azeez Ojulari, you gave Dexter contract extension last year. This was the type of dominant performance from a front that you were looking for, and it really did seem to have Joe Burrow off kilter for much of this game.
So, I've said this all year, that your best players have to be your best players. Your role players have to be attention to detail. The best players were the best players today. The role players, you have, some growing pains from Drew Phillips on the Hail Mary that they threw to Jamar Chase that only he and Burrow could do. Drew Phillips was being a spectator, and if he should have stayed on the double team, he probably has an interception there. On the Joe Burrow 47-yard run, it was 3 to one side, 1 to the other. Somebody was supposed to loop around, and they did, but they stopped at the center. They didn't come all the way around to balance it, and that's where Burrow came out. And it was going to set a trap because he probably saw the Geno Smith thing, thinking I can just scamper. And if the looper comes around, he runs right into the guy's arms. And it didn't happen, and there was no one else to get him to the ground. So, the role players and the attention to detail stuff is the things that, kind of puts a little, in my opinion, puts a little bit of a damper on what is, without a doubt, a hell of a performance by the defense. But you just, again, you didn't do enough while doing enough, if that makes any sense.
Then how do you evaluate the issues on offense? Obviously only 7 points against the Bengals defense. that has struggled, not enough to win any game in the NFL?
So, for me, I think, and obviously Coach Dable will have to answer the question, but for me, I thought he played to the worst instincts from a profile perspective of your quarterback and did not exploit the worst instincts from a profile perspective of Cincinnati.
What do you mean by that?
You're passing the ball, which allowed Cincinnati to get early pressure, which, it's no secret. Daniel Jones gets off kilter with pressure. So they wanted to do that right away, and it's a defense that really couldn't stop the run, and the Giants didn't really commit to the run game until late when they got their first score. And that's when they were running the football. But I thought maybe to get your offense in a rhythm and to get your quarterback into a comfortable space, try, have more concerted effort in running the football.
In the first half, Carl, just so you have the numbers to back it up, Daniel Jones had 5 carries for 37 yards. But the running backs, Eric Gray just 2 carries, 7 yards. Yeah. Tyrone Tracy just 3 carries for 3 yards.
Yeah, I mean so you got 5 yards on 5 carries.
Yeah, I mean there were a couple of them that were design runs for Jones.
That's correct.
But then there were others where he was just running.
Yeah, I mean, listen, take Jones's runs out of it because that doesn't get him comfortable. Handing the ball off and seeing the chains move, you have all of your play action available. And again, you let Cincinnati off the hook. Like, they're 30-something in run defense. Stick with it. It kind of reminds me of the Dallas game when you just gave up on the run when Dallas, came in here and they were giving up 200 and some yards a game, and you couldn't scrape 100 because you did not commit to it. Now, again, I don't sit in game plan meetings, right? So that would be something, a coach would have to answer. But I'm just saying if I'm looking at a team that can't stop something, I'm going to give them a heavy dose of that and guard against the things that can hurt my team, which means letting my quarterback get under pressure early and he's off kilter and the offense is off kilter for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, and then the player execution. I thought the offensive line played one of their poorer games of the game. They didn't run block well when they had a chance to run block. They didn't pass block well. There was a lot of leaky pressure that got in there. Yeah. And then, the quarterback, again, Carl, we've been as big a Daniel Jones supporters as possible, but you can't make that mistake. It's 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line. You got to just eat that ball when the pressure's coming in your face and take the sack with the situation and hand down 7-0. You got a good drive going.
Yeah.
And
not even that. Like, eat the ball, yes, but the decision that you made when you decided not to eat it, you threw it to the furthest point on the field. If you're going to throw it away, either take a grounding or throw it to the sideline. You're throwing it to the without a doubt, anybody will tell you, you want to put a ball in risk, throw it in the middle of the field under duress, right? The sidelines are your friend. Throw it there. It's shortest distance. You're trying to go from wherever you were,
probably about the 20-yard line.
20-yard line, and try to sail it out of the end zone with pressure on you. Throw it in the dirt, throw it to the sideline. That's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, and Carl, the point I made earlier, again, is just looking at this objectively is you're in year 6. Mm-hmm. Like that you can't make that mistake. Like Burrow didn't make that mistake tonight when he was under pressure.
So, again, you did not allow your quarterback – you played to his worst instincts early on. They got early pressure on him, and this is how, he reverts to this type of stuff, bad decisions when he senses there's going to be pressure all game. And he had pressure all game. But it started off where you could have mitigated that by just committing to the run and imposing your role, because when you did, you had success, but you got discouraged. Well, you didn't even start the game with it, but –
Well, I can tell you, Carl, real quick. First drive, Giants passed it 4 times. All
right?
Yep. They get the ball back their second possession. Mm-hmm. They run it on their first play. They gain 2 yards, 2nd and 8. They end up having an incomplete pass and a sack. Defensive holding gives them the first down.
Mhm.
1st and 10, Wanda Robinson for 7, Tyrone Tracy for 1. 3rd and 2, they get 9 yards, and 2 more completions for 14 yards and 15 yards. Then you have the interception on your second possession. So they ran it twice on that possession, didn't really gain many yards. Next possession, Jones goes for 13 on a keeper. He goes for 11 on a keeper. But again, there was a sack in there, and they ended up having to punt the football. So in their first 3 drives, just 2 running back runs.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, Jones running the football doesn't get Jones comfortable in the pass game. Running backs running the football gets the offense in rhythm. It gets your offensive line, kind of feeling like they can do an offset what the defense is doing when you can play more physical. But they just did not feel like that was what they wanted to do this game. And obviously the Bengals were rated very low, and they'll probably return to that with their next opponent because their next opponent is going to run it on them. They didn't fix anything because when they got a heavy dose of Tracy, they couldn't stop it.
And I'll say this too, Carl. It is disappointing. Even when they started running the ball and you look at the overall running numbers for the Giants, they're still well under 4 yards per carry. And that's with 20 traditional runs between Tracy and Gray. It's not like once they started running the ball, they were as productive as they should have been given the defense.
If you're not 4 yards, if you're 3 yards of carry and you got 2 of those, you're 3rd and 4.
Right, but you still only wind up with 7 points because you can't gain any chunk plays in the run game.
Well,
that was another problem.
Well, you get chunk plays in play action pass, but now that your quarterback is not probably rattled,
right?
He's rattled, and his fail-safe right now is to throw the ball to Slayton.
I don't disagree with you at all. The only point I was making is that I don't think the offensive line blocked well enough in the run game as well as they did last week, certainly, and as well as they should have.
You're right, but when they made a concerted effort, they ran the ball well.
Well enough.
Yeah.
Yes, I got you. That's
and
fair.
That allows your play-action pass to happen. And again, if you're getting 2 yards, and you're at the 3rd and 5, it's still a dealer's choice. It's better than a 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15.
Even 2nd and 7. 2nd and 7's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but you have to, until you can start to get people to commit to the box to try to stop the run, they're going to give you hell in the passing game. And Daniel Jones, again, he reverts. Like if there's a tell for me, if I'm playing against him, hey, get pressure early, and his fail-safe, without a doubt, he's going to go to Slayton. Whenever he's in trouble, he's going to Slayton because he feels more comfortable there.
Or Neighbors if he's on the field, but he wasn't there.
But there are 2-level patterns sometimes that Slayton probably wasn't the best option. And he chose it probably because he feels safe with him.
On that 4th down play, I mean, Slayton was covered.
Yeah.
And he was going to Slayton, it felt like, regardless in that
And the
situation.
2nd level was Wandell that was open.
Yeah. And then you have the 3rd down play in the first half. You got to hit Wandell. You got him on a deep crosser, man. He's got his guy beat by 3 yards in the NFL, and it's not like he was getting smacked in the face. In the NFL today, like, you have to make that throw.
Yeah.
That's a throw that has to be made. Gets the fans all jacked up. You got a 3rd down conversion. Your defense isn't going back on the field. Now you got Cincinnati on their heels a little bit because they've just given up a 3rd down pass play. And instead, boom, you're punting again.
Listen, they have to fix some things, but they have to know who they are. And knowing who you are and knowing that also includes knowing who your quarterback is. He's your quarterback. You're going to have to do the things that he does well, and you're going to have to get him into those situations so that he can function. It's just as simple as that. If you think you're going to come out, sling it all over the yard with this guy and let him get knocked around a little bit, he's not going to function well. So you gotta have some type of complementary football for him, and obviously he's got to make better decisions with the football under duress. So there's a lot of work to do, but I don't think there's much soul searching. It's right in front of you. You just go do what you're supposed to do.
And now the Giants guys are 2-4, and we'll be in a familiar position next week where the Giants need a win in what's still a very competitive NFC East.
Yep.
No one has fewer than 2 losses, so the Giants just 2 games away from the first-place Commanders. The Eagles are sitting there at 3-2. The Cowboys are 3-3. Only 2 games separate all these teams, but you got to start winning games. So now, guys, the next week, here comes the Eagles.
The defense will travel. I feel comfortable that this defense will do a good job.
And the Eagles barely beat the Browns today.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Carl, I want to ask you this because we were talking about it with Jonathan, too. You know what's the most befuddling thing about all this, as far as I'm concerned, is what happens at home. You think about the game in Washington. They moved the ball at ease. They didn't have a kicker. Neighbors drops the 4th down pass. But you feel like if Neighbors catches that pass, the Giants are going to score and win that game.
Sure.
You think about the game in Cleveland. Adversity. They moved the ball. They even moved the ball into the 3rd quarter. But then Singletary fumbled and he had a drop pass. And then in Seattle last week, no procedural penalties. They ran the ball. They threw the ball.
On time in the pass game.
They hit big plays. They play at home. It's unbelievable how it almost looks like a completely different team. And the fans were pretty generous tonight.
They hung in there, man. The fans hung in there. But again, you play to your worst instincts and don't exploit the other team's instincts. So you didn't do yourself any favors. And this is just my opinion. If I got a team who can't stop a nosebleed, I'm gonna make them live up to that. Show me that you can stop a nosebleed, and I'm gonna give it to you until you prove it. But they started the game passing. You got the quarterback hit early, and then he just never settled in. The offense didn't settle in, and on the road, they were running the football, and they were effective, and they were on schedule, and they were complementary in those phases, run, pass. Today, I didn't feel that it was a complementary effort. It was pass, pass, pass. Okay, we're going to have a series of runs, and then you score on that, and then it's pass, 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 right? And it's still a close game. And then you can run it when you have to get 4th and 1s or 4th and 2s. You got, 3 or 4 of those today. And yet you just don't keep the train running. So listen. It's an L. There's work to be done, but I think they know what's in front of them, and they just have to do a better job at playing to their strengths and exploiting the other team's weaknesses, because that's what Cincinnati did to this Giant offense. They exploited a weakness.
Guys, final thoughts with the Eagles on the horizon?
Listen, defense, keep playing, doing what you're doing, and hopefully the Giants can figure out why they can't move the ball and score at home, because I have no answers for
Well, it's not as much as what the other folks are doing. It's what you're not doing. And got to be better at it. Simple as that.
Carl, Bob, we'll see you guys next week.
All right,
appreciate
Johnny.
it. For all your office, industrial, and residential moving needs, trust Clancy Relocation and Logistics, the official moving and relocation partner of the New York Giants. Visit clancymoving.com. Quick timeout. When we come back, we'll take a look at the final stats, that and a whole lot more as we continue on Giants Extra Point. The Giants fall to the Bengals 17-7.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is John Runyon, and you're listening to Radio Home of Big Blue, The Fan, WFAN and WFAN-FM, New York.
Giants football is brought to you by Verizon, the official 5G network of the New York Giants. Verizon, America's most reliable network. Back here on Giants Extra Point, Giants fall to the Bengals on Sunday Night Football 17-7. Tonight's stats are brought to you by the Archdiocese of New York. Learn more at cardinalsappeal.org. Believe it or not, the Giants outgained the Bengals in this game, 309 yards to 304, about equal for the Giants individually. Daniel Jones finished 22 of 41, 205 yards, no touchdowns and an interception. Running the football, Jones led the way, 11 carries for 56 yards. Tyrone Tracy, 17 carries for 50 yards. He had a rushing touchdown in this game. Eric Gray, 3 carries for 13 yards. It was a team effort in the passing game on 11 targets. Darius Lane had 6 catches for 57 yards. 6 catches, 57 yards as well for Tyrone Tracy. Wando Robinson, 5 catches, 50 yards. Theo Johnson, 3 catches, 30 yards, and a catch apiece for Jalen Hyatt and Isaiah Hodgins. Defensively for the Giants, it was really a heck of a game. Tyler Newman led the way with 9 tackles. Brian Burns, his best game as a Giant, 8 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for losses in the run game. Another quarterback in addition to that sack. Azeez Ojulari stepping in for Kayvon Thibodeau. 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Those were his 2 sacks. Those were his 2 quarterback hits. He had a forced fumble in this game as well. They gave credit to Okereke for that forced fumble. I think it was Ojulari that knocked it out. We'll see on further review who gets credit for that one. Micah McFadden had a fumble recovery and a forced fumble in this game. He had 5 tackles, and overall the defense played pretty well. For the Bengals, Joe Burrow, 19 of 28, 208 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He did have that long 47-yard touchdown run, 4 carries, 55 yards to lead the way for the Bengals. Chase Brown, 10 carries, 53 yards. Zach Moss, 6 carries, 13 yards in the game. Giants controlled the Bengals wide receivers. 7 catches, 77 yards for T. Higgins. Jamar Chase, 5 catches for 72 yards. Andreas Yoshivas, 2 catches for 36 yards. 2 catches for Chase Brown and Eric All. Zach Moss with a catch out of the backfield. And then defensively for the Bengals, Trey Hendrickson, again, we talked about him being the best pass rusher and defensive player really on their roster. And he showed up beating Andrew Thomas for 2 sacks in this game, a couple of big ones too. So a really nice game for Trey Hendrickson. He had another quarterback hit in addition to that for the Bengals. And B.J. Hill had a couple of quarterbacks hits in this game. He also had a couple of passes defended as well. So overall, those are your numbers. Those are your stats. Team stat-wise in this game, I mentioned the total yardage. The Giants were not great situationally in this game, just 5 of 15 on third downs. The Bengals were 4 of 11. Giants finished with 119 rushing yards. Bengals had 121. And overall, the Giants just were not able to close out this game and score enough points to walk away with the victory. Please stick with us if you're listening on our local flagship station, WFAN, here in New York, but it is time to say goodbye to our affiliates across the country on the Giants Radio Network. Our next broadcast will be next Sunday when the Giants host the Philadelphia Eagles with our pregame show beginning at noon. Thanks for listening to us tonight, and we'll see you next week on the WFAN Giants Radio Network. But we're not done right here on WFAN in New York. Jonathan Casillas and Paul Dottino rejoin, and we'll take your calls at 888-808-1019, 888-808-1019, and we'll get more sound from the locker room as well. We'll continue breaking it all down for you right here on Giants Extra Point. Giants fall to the Bengals 17-7. We'll be right back.
With 3:20 to go, this could be the ball game. 4th and 3 at the 36. Remember, Joseph just missed a 47-yarder. Tracy the tailback. 3 receivers stacked right. Jones takes the snap, back to throw, over the middle, pass incomplete, and no flag on the play intended for Slayton. DJ Turner on the coverage.
And that was our Giants turning point of the game. Listen to Boomer and Gio on WFAN tomorrow morning in the 9 a.m. hour for the Giants turning point contest. The first correct caller to name the game's turning point will win 2 tickets to an upcoming Giants home game. Bob mentioned the time and the score. It was a 4th and 2 technically. It was really more like 2.5 after Tyrone Tracy slipped down on the previous run, lost a yard, which really put him in a tough spot in that 4th and 2.5. Jones tried to go to Slayton over the middle. DJ Turner made a really nice play coming down from up top, reaching over. And frankly, the pass is also a little bit behind Slayton going over the middle, which allowed Turner to get his hand in there and knock it away. The Bengals got the ball back. And then after gaining 1 first down on a really nice pass from Joe Burrow rolling to his left, hitting Yoshivas for a 29-yard gain, Chase Brown fumbles on the next run. The Giants can't recover it. And then Brown, 1 play later, runs 30 yards for the touchdown to put the game away and give the Bengals their final 17-7 victory. Darius Slayton, who was the target of that pass, he was the Giants' most targeted receiver in this game. He spoke to the media after the game. Let's listen in.
MOTs that are sometimes hard to avoid, like the one long running catch I had, like it's RPO. It happens sometimes. Like you get a legal man downfield because the linemen are blocking the run. But in other areas, we could just be better. Whether that's running a better route, making a play, or getting a hat on the hat in the run game and getting a more effective run.
So it looked like they made a concentrated effort to take away the explosive plays. Is there something they showed different this week than they've been doing the last first 5?
They threw a couple different looks, but I mean, I would say we also just didn't hit them. We had a couple chances at some shots. We just couldn't connect on them for whatever reason. But they came with a decent game plan.
How frustrating is this Slay where the D holds an explosive offense to 17, basically 10. Nice offense, so you guys come up a little bit short.
No, it's extremely frustrating because our defense played their butts off, and as a offensive player, you want to score to reward their efforts, So that's what I just said. We have to do a better job of finishing drives and finishing in the end zone.
Why has the offense performed better on the road than at home this year?
More coincidence than anything, honestly. I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not that we had any magical plays on the road that we don't have at home. It's just we just didn't make the ones tonight that we did last week.
Darius, the way things are shaping up in the division, what happened today, I mean, does it make it doubly frustrating that, the door seems open here in the division and,
Yeah, I mean, it's a long season, the division race it is what it is, we know what the records are, the other teams know what our record is, but there's a lot of football games left, and ultimately, if we can win our games in our division, it'll help us out. So we got one coming up this week, so we got to do our best to go get that win.
You take us through the
and now we're rejoined by Paul Dottino and Jonathan Casillas. And guys, I think Darius hit that out of the park. He talked about all the ways the Giants missed opportunities in this game, whether it was missed passes, the one big explosive play they had the entire game, it gets called back because Andrew Thomas is 5 yards downfield on an RPO. And you know what's funny? If you were watching it from up here in the press box, you saw all the players running down the field. There was one player that stood there at the line of scrimmage and did not move because he knew he committed a penalty on the play. It was Andrew Thomas. He knew he committed the penalty. He did not go down the field. He saw the flag. You saw the replay on TV. He hung his head. He knew he made the mistake. Then you had guys that unable to uncover, unable to recover that snap. Just a mix of failures and important opportunities and chances of big plays, Paul, where they were just unable. Again, their longest play is 15 yards. It's going to be hard to win games when your longest play is 15 yards.
It's really a shame because after what they've done in the last month, and they frittered away games to Dallas and Washington with drop passes more than anything else. This game, they failed on a lot of different fronts. It wasn't just simply drop passes that cost them a game. They did a lot of really bad things during the course of this game. And, as well as the defense played on the whole, giving Joe Burrow a 47-yard scramble for a touchdown when half of the field is totally empty is not good.
Yeah, but they gave us 17 points. I don't care how they scored their 17 points. They gave up 17 points.
I know.
And that should be enough for the Giants
That's
to win the game.
That's why that is such a mixed reaction to me because there were several key plays where the Bengals, we talk about playing above the X's and the O's, and they made those plays, and the Giants didn't.
Right. And, JC, I know you kind of raised your eyebrows. Darius Slayton was asked during that media availability about, and it was a good question, why can't the Giants seem to do well at home and score at home and their offense looks different at home? And he said it's a coincidence. I don't think you're buying that based on your reaction.
I don't know what it is. That's literally what I've been saying when Bob was here.
None of us
trying
do.
to figure it out.
That's the thing.
Because
maybe it is a coincidence. I don't know. He could be right.
Listen, I don't know. I'm from Jersey, and for me, I've relished the opportunity to play here in front of my family, in front of my friends, night game when everybody's watching the one game that's on. The entire world, the entire football world, fans all around are watching this game. I relish the opportunity to do that. And I'm not saying they're scared, but they look like it when they playing today. They look like it when they played all of the other games that we've watched here, sat here, and talked through those games. They don't look like the same team. I don't know what it is, but I'm sitting here looking at these stats, and I just pulled up all of the drives. And after that first touchdown drive from the Bengals, they forced 5 punts in a row, the New York Giants defense did.
Yeah.
And they had a turnover.
If you told me before the game the Giants forced 5 punts all game,
Yeah.
all game, I would have signed up for it.
Yep. And then they actually forced a fumble, the beginning of the second half.
Yep.
And they actually scored a touchdown off of that, which was good. But there was no momentum. You know, we talk about that word, momentum. You saw it last week in Seattle, where the Giants played pretty good offense, pretty efficient offense, penalty-free, mistake-free
Hey,
football.
420 yards of offense, man. It was a really good offensive game.
You talk about tonight where they just couldn't get anything going, and the fans, Bob was talking about it earlier, the fans gave them a chance for a long time tonight. They were in it the whole game, but you can see the energy level just kind of getting depleted every single time the Giants punted the football and didn't capitalize on the Bengals. The Bengals offense is, I think, a prolific offense. You take away that first game against the Patriots, they've put up a lot of points.
25 or more points in every game, at least 34 in their last
and
3
34
games.
in 3 games, right, in the last 3 games. So you talk about a defense stepping up to the task after getting hit in the mouth right away in the game, you know, giving up that touchdown in the first drive from the Bengals. They did what they were supposed to do. You know, defensively throughout the year, you put goals up, right? It's always the, you know, win the division, whatever it is. But it's to hold the opponents to 17 points or less. The Giants hit the mark that, for the teams I've played on, that was the number.
Was that the number, 17?
17 was the number. Because that will give your offense a chance to do something, to win the game. You're going to force turnovers. You're going to force punts. 17 points means you're stifling an offense to a certain degree.
And let's be honest, in a game like this, you're going to play against Joe Burrow, you're probably, maybe not saying it loud, but you're whispering to each other, you know what? Even if we hold to like 23, that's pretty good.
100%. And we were talking about this before the game. How many points do they need to win this game, the Giants? I said 30.
Yeah, during the week, I said minimum 27, but you would probably need 30.
And that's even with getting sacks on Joe Burrow, because I haven't seen Joe Burrow not look like Joe Burrow before tonight. But the Giants did that to him. Joe Burrow did not look like Joe Burrow tonight for majority of the night. At times he did, like Bob Papa said, a couple of plays where he was just getting attacked. The sack that Dexter Lawrence had, Ojulari was in his face. He made Ojulari miss.
Yeah.
You know, but the Giants had a unrelenting pass rush the entire game. They did do that the entire game. They was after Joe Burrow the entire game. So like Bob was saying, you can't say anything about the defense, because even if they didn't play a perfect game, they did give up 17 points. That is enough, especially at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Giants have to figure out what's going on here. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the nerves, playing, like, you know, your families are here and you got to, you know, handle the tickets or whatever the case is, because there's a lot of things that you deal with at home that you don't deal with on the road. You know, on the road it's just the guys and the coaches. There's no wives. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really see, you don't have to handle all of that extra stuff, and you just get down to business. There's a lot of things that you have to handle when you're here at home. And then a night game. The difference between a 1 o'clock game and a night game is, of course, the time. But when you get up for a 1 o'clock game, you get up and get right to the stadium. Usually when you get up for a night game, you go home. You can talk to the family. You get to do certain things. It's a different feel. It's a different day when you play at night. There's a lot of hours between when you wake up and you actually got to report to the stadium.
Well, I can just say, I'm not a player, but I went to my kid's swim lesson today.
You were able to do stuff today.
Right? I mean, normally on a Sunday, I'm shot. Today I went to my kid's swim lesson at 12 o'clock because I could.
There's different things that happen throughout the day, different distractions, which are normal every day-to-day things, but it's not the same with a 1 o'clock kickoff compared to an 8 o'clock kickoff. You have a lot of hours in a day to be distracted. I don't know if that's the deal with the Giants, but they have to figure this out, because the Giants are not going to continuously get these home games at night. They're not going to get them. Am I right? Like, eventually the NFL is going to be like, we can't play these guys at nighttime.
Well, the Giants don't have any more night home games left on the schedule. Their only night game left, I believe, is at Pittsburgh. Correct, Paul? I'm not missing any, right?
Yeah. Jonathan, to be fair, go back 30, 40 years. This team has never been a very good primetime team. They just have
when
not.
I played, we won some night games
but
here.
Paul, even primetime aside, just at home this year.
Oh, I know.
They played terribly.
Especially in the first half.
You know what's really funny? We can sit here for the next 5 hours if we wanted to.
We're not.
And talk. No, we won't. And I don't think any of us want to do that either.
Maybe you do.
But we could. No, I don't.
Paul does
we
not.
we could sit here and do that, and still, in spite of everything that happened, with 2 minutes to go, Micah McFadden punches a ball out, forces a fumble, and the Giants are only down by 1 score, and that ball bounces around, takes about 8 yards down the field, and nobody lands on the ball. They can't recover the stinking fumble after everything that they did and the Bengals did or didn't do. The Giants still had one more chance.
Right.
And the black magic of the football gods.
No.
Would
That's
not let the
black magic
would
of the
not
football
would,
gods.
if the, would not let the Giants get the ball.
No, they didn't let themselves get the ball. Jason Pinnock could have picked up the ball. There wasn't some magical spell. It wasn't Maleficent swooping down from the end zone, casting a
How in the
spell
world-
and pushing the ball out of bounds.
How did that ball bounce away?
He just didn't pick it up, dude.
I think,
what am I to tell you?
I think if you can see what Paul Dottino looks like
And
from
by the way,
beginning of the game,
And this is, I'm not killing Jason Pinnock. Footballs, they bounce weird directions.
They do.
It's hard.
It's
hard.
a tough play, but
It is
they
hard.
do.
Bad black magic.
But if you guys can see what Paul looked like before the game, how giddy he was, how happy he was. The anthem for the show, dun, 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 that he's dancing to that. And then you look at him now. I love you, Paul. He's disheveled. He got his tie unbuttoned. He got his top button unbuttoned.
And now he's frowning
His
at
glasses are low on
He's
his
gonna
face.
come after you. All right, I'm going to let you guys calm down. And by the way, guys, I see your calls. I will get to your first call. Nico, I'm going to get to you in this segment. But first, Brian Dable was asked about Andrew Thomas after the game. He got banged up at some point. I didn't even notice during the game, but he did. He was asked about it. We do have Andrew Thomas sound from the locker room. Great job by Pete Hoffman getting it. So let's hear from Andrew downstairs and see what's going on with him.
Talk about your ankle again.
Do you know when it happened? Like, was there a specific player, just wear and tear?
Somewhere on the scoring drive we had.
When you say you need the MRI to see what's potentially wrong, I mean, are you concerned about this? Like, is it a worry?
I mean, we'll see. I don't know exactly. We'll see. I don't know yet.
What happened?
Yeah, look like you were
kind of struggling just to get back to the line.
Yeah, just fighting.
Drew, Andrew, what happened?
You're always pretty critical of your own play. How do you feel like you played tonight?
Right, not good enough.
What happened on the penalty?
It was RPO. Similar play happened versus Seattle last week. They didn't call it, so sometimes it's just 50-50. Sometimes they call it, sometimes they don't.
Did you know right away, though? It seemed like you were. Why was it such a struggle to get the run game going tonight?
They did a good job moving up front. They brought some different pressures. They saw on film that we've run the ball pretty well when we're stagnant, so they had a lot of different looks of different. Sometimes they were playing base personnel kind of to our sub runs and blitzing. They did a good job up front.
Is that different from what you guys saw on film with their most recent games or whatever?
We saw pressure on film, but we just didn't do a good job of executing.
What do you think of Daboll's aggressiveness? He went for a bunch of fourth downs there.
Yeah, he told us he was going to be aggressive. They have an explosive offense, and our defense did a great job of holding them. Our mindset coming in was to score a lot of points. We didn't do that today.
Did you feel like you had a little bit of a rhythm going when he was going for those fourth downs? I mean, it seemed like you were going no huddle. So
Yeah.
It seemed like you had a little bit of a rhythm during that stretch there.
Yeah, like when we huddle, they were called different pressures and bring in different personnel groups. So we knew that we would be on the ball quick, different NASCAR terms, and that was working for us. We just didn't execute good enough in the red zone.
Do you feel like this was a big missed opportunity for you guys? If you maybe 500 going into the Philly game next week instead, obviously 2-4.
Yeah, I mean, we want to win every game. I think we had a good plan, just didn't play well enough.
So if he hurt his foot on the Giants scoring drive in the third quarter, that means there were two meaningful drives in the fourth quarter that he played with the injury. The one that ended in the Greg Joseph missed field goal, and then the final one that ended on next to last one that ended on the Darius Slayton failed fourth down conversion attempt with 3:05 to go. Then, of course, you had the final drive where the Giants were down 2 scores. They tried to, kick the field goal. Another miss from Greg Joseph. So, guys, that's obviously something we'll have to keep an eye on here as we move forward in next week against the Eagles. We all know how big of a deal Andrew Thomas is. We saw what happened when he got hurt last year. I think they're better equipped to deal with a potential Andrew Thomas injury this year, but it would still be a tremendous loss.
Even though Ezzuto has been practicing as the swing guy, I think Neal goes to right tackle if this goes down, and Illuminor goes to left tackle. I believe that's what they would do.
I don't know. Only before the year, I would have said yes. I agree with you. The fact that Evan Neal has not played one snap of football in a regular season game this year, and Ezzuto's the extra offensive lineman, that hasn't changed your mind at all?
No.
Okay.
I think that's. I would go with the two vets who have had more experience, even though Neal hasn't played this year.
How about you, JC?
Yeah, I don't know. We were trying to figure it out before the game, and it was a surprise to me that Evan Neal had 0 snaps, even on special teams or as an extra lineman.
I know.
I don't know if I don't fall out of favor with him, but that's a weird thing for me to be an active offensive lineman and not get in the game at all.
Now, keep in mind, the Giants are one of the only teams in the league that have had all their starting offensive linemen play 100% of the snaps. So their 5 starters have not missed a snap this year. So the only way he could have played is if he was the extra offensive lineman or was on field goal or extra point protection, something like that.
It's not like I've played in the league long enough to understand how offensive line works, and back in the day when they had the 3-man wedge on kickoffs and kickoff returns.
Yeah, you don't really
where they
see
utilize,
offensive linemen on
not
the
anymore,
kickoff anymore.
right?
Yeah.
Not anymore. But the extra point field goals, you always bring an extra lineman.
Yeah.
When you go heavy down in the red zone, low red zone, when you want to run the football, you bring an extra lineman. And it was a big surprise to me that he got 0 offensive snaps. And there's not too many guys that suit up on an active roster that don't play at all.
Well, Stinney, I guess, probably has. I don't know what Stinney's snap count has been this year.
It's been, if he's seen any, it's very low.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
If any at all. Here's what I will say, Jonathan, about that. The Giants were really concerned about rebuilding Evan Neal, not only because of his injury and slow coming back off the foot, but I think psychologically and emotionally he had been really damaged by the fact that he couldn't get on the field, he couldn't improve, he couldn't answer some of his critics. He was really in a bad spot. And maybe they feel as though as they were bringing him back, and we've talked to the coaches who have been very, very complimentary of him in practice. That may not mean anything, but they have been complimentary about him practicing. In fact, Coach Priscillo and Coach Dable have made it a point the last 2 weeks to say he has been playing exclusively at right tackle in practice because the writers keep saying, is he playing guard? Are you trying him at guard?
In fact, Dable was asked that this week, and he said he's been playing exclusively right
That's
tackle.
it. He is practicing at right tackle. I think they've been very careful in trying to rebuild him, if you will, not just physically but emotionally. So maybe that's why they haven't put him in special teams.
And again, guys, we have no idea what Andrew Thomas's injury situation is. He did finish the game, so that's a good sign that he didn't have to leave the game with the injury. Then again, he finished the first game last year with the hamstring, and then ended up missing 3 or 4 weeks.
We didn't see him for a while.
We have no idea what the status is.
Right.
They'll do more testing this week. We'll find out when Brian Dable, because I'm sure he's not going to have anything tomorrow. So we'll find out when we hear from Brian Dable on Wednesday at his press conference. They give us an idea of what his status might be. All right, 888-808-1019. Let's go to Nico in North Bergen before we take our first break. Nico, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, guys? I'm on my way home from the game, and, the crowd was into it. It's electric, but typical Giants.
It was.
They let us down. You know what I mean? And the one thing that really makes my skin crawl, okay, is the game is momentum is the key to football, right? The Giants, they elect to kick a field goal. The field goal kicker misses it. And the thing that makes my skin crawl is everybody is running up to him, giving him a pat on the butt, kissing his cheek. Oh, do better next time. You know what I mean? That's not how you win games. I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
Well, Nico, real quick, the problem is, Nico, it's not like they can say, all right, we don't trust you anymore. We're going to have some other dude kick. There's no other dude to kick.
Well,
so they have no other choice
that.
but to try to encourage him so he makes the next one.
I understand that, but it's a theme. I've been listening to you guys since you guys been on the air, okay? I remember when the Giants lost, you couldn't hear a pin drop in the locker room. Now, every time they lose and I'm listening, you hear chatter in the background, you hear this, you hear that. They don't care. Nobody cares. You know why? Because they make too much money. And nobody cares about it. Only the fans care. I'm serious. And you guys are talking about
JC,
Philly.
go ahead,
You know how many times in the last 40 times we played Philly. How many games have we won? 40 games. How many games have we won? Take a guess.
Not a lot. But Nico, not a ton. But the good news is, appreciate the call. They did beat Philly the last time they played last year. JC, look.
Yeah, let me address this, Nico. I've had this debate not too long ago. It was a couple weeks ago where they were like, the fans care more than the players because the players make a lot of money and not really worry about it. I used to get depressed when we used to lose games. Like, I used to not talk to people. I'm a whole different person, and I know I'm not the only one. And I know it's not that much different than when I played. I'm not that old. I'm 37. There's some guys that's my age in the league still. Okay.
They're mostly kickers, but that's okay.
And quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers. Shout out to Aaron Rodgers. But it affects you. It really does. And what guys try to do, they try to act normal after a loss, but it's almost a facade for most guys. It's almost a facade. You're trying to act normal, but it affects you. You're different when you go home around your family. The energy's different. You try not to be that way because that's not a good way to be, but it's almost impossible to do. So the locker room is a lot different. Paul, you know that. It's tremendously different. Last week, I remember hearing the interviews last week. It was so loud in the background after every
you could barely hear the
audio.
guys.
Yeah, you're going to hear a little bit of chatter, but you're not hearing music playing. You're not hearing none of that stuff, But you got to have some type of normalcy after a loss, but you're not. Like, the guys feel defeated. They're not the same people after a win and after a loss. They do care. These guys are in this league because they care. Yes, they're talented, but you don't get talented, you don't get committed, you don't get to this level without having a level of care. You don't do it. There's a lot of talented guys that's not in the NFL because they didn't care enough. These guys in the NFL, and this is the thing about the NFL and the NBA and all of the pro sports, you get prodded and tested for literally a decade before you get to this pro level. High school, college, you get tested, you get, mentally examined, you get physically examined, you go to the combine, they're pulling on your knee, they're twisting you, they're doing all kind of things. These guys care more than I think most people care about what they do. Because it takes a high level of focus and concentration for a long period of time. I'm talking about not 1, 2, 3 years. I'm talking about a decade at least of you performing at the highest level through injuries, through losses, or whatever it is. You have to have some type of semblance of normalcy after a loss. Yeah, you can't just go to the locker room and just be all dejected and everybody got their heads down. That's literally one thing that we try not to do is not put your head down after a loss. Do you feel it? Yes. Do you try to have, a conversation with a teammate? Yes. It is definitely not the same. And to say that these guys don't care, I don't think you understand what it really takes to be a professional athlete. Because these guys do care. And there's a lot of sad Giant players right now. We're sad. But we're not as sad as them. It might not affect their pay. It might not affect their pay. But it affects them for sure. They've worked all their lives for this. They've been thinking about this game. When you get the schedule, you look at the schedule, you see the night games. Your family calls you, hey, man, I want to go to this game on this date.
Dude, how psyched did Brian Burns look to play in a Sunday night game? I mean, when's the last time the Panthers played in a Sunday night football game?
And he played hard tonight.
That's what I'm saying. Well, that's the point I'm trying to make, right? You could tell he was up for this game.
He
When's
sure
the last time
was.
he played on a Sunday night?
The point that Nico made, I hear his point, but what I think is bothering most people is that it almost becomes normal to lose now. And it's almost like a normal thing for them, and they feel like the Giants are like, this is normal for them. They're used to losing. They don't have that winner's mentality. But to say that they don't care, I think is absolutely incredibly wrong.
If I can give you 3 very quick, in a nutshell, bullet points. Number 1, I'm in that locker room after every game. It was a quiet and very frustrated and dejected locker room after this game.
Was it angry at all? Were there guys that were angry?
If they were internalizing because those guys who might have been angry weren't saying a whole lot.
Yep.
So that's entirely possible.
I got you.
Number 2, I have known many guys over the decades that I've been doing this job who have admitted to me that after a loss, the only thing they do the following week is leave their house to come to practice and go to work. They will not even go to the grocery store or the delicatessen because they don't want to see anybody. They're that disgusted and upset with the loss.
It's embarrassing.
I've heard that from so many guys over the years. Don't tell me they don't care, okay? That's number 2. Number 3, Joseph misses the 47-yard field goal. And I don't know if we have the Runyon audio. I asked him specifically about how deflating is it when you get in scoring position, you wind up turning the ball over on a pick, you miss a couple of field goals. Emotionally, how hard is that for you to bounce back and try to dig in and get back into the game? And he said, no, hey, you got to leave it. It's a play. You leave the play. You go to the next play. You have to leave it. And the Giants did, because the Bengals get the ball, and 6 plays later, they're forced to punt on 4th down. The Giants defense went out there and said, we're getting that ball back. Yep. They cared. They cared. They played hard. They played intense, and they got the ball back and gave Daniel Jones and this offense a chance to tie a one-score game with 8 minutes to go.
All right, let's take a timeout. We got plenty more from the locker room. We got more of your calls at 888-808-1019 when we return on Giants Extra Point. The Giants, again, fall to the Bengals 17-7. We'll be right back on here on The Fan.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is Aziz Ojulari, and you're listening to the radio home of the Big Blue, The Fan, WFAN, and the WFAN FM New York.
Burrow in a shotgun set from the Giant 39. Takes the snap, back, pumps, under pressure, and he's going to get sacked on the play. Brian Burns got the initial pressure, and then the Giants cleaned it up. Burns with 2 sacks coming into the game. That's a loss of 5.
Clock continues to run. 40 seconds left in the half. 1-by-3 receiver set. Motion to the left by Chase. Back to throw out of the gun. Burrow pump fakes, and he is sacked. Back at the Cincinnati 40.
Aziz Ojulari one more time.
Burrow in a shotgun set. Takes the snap. Back to throw. He's under pressure, trying to escape. Avoids one man, and then finally slammed down by Dexter Lawrence. Sack number 7 on the season for Sexy Dexy.
And you can't take away what the Giants defense did in this game. 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, and that's the official number. There were more than that. They were all over Joe Burrow in this game, making him hold the football. He played a really good game. Brian Burns had his best game as a Giant, couple tackles for losses in the run game. He had a sack in this game, another quarterback hit on top of that. Brian Burns talked to the media after the game. Let's listen into that.
We had to get to the drawing board to see exactly what they were, but it's still plays that can be made. I just say the fumble because that was that's the opportunity we had, so we wanted. You know.
Brian, you guys could make a case that your 3 best games have been on the road this year. You know, offensively, you have 1 touchdown here. Is there anything about this team playing better on the road than at home?
No, I don't think there's nothing about that. I think it's just due time. You know, football is football. There's so many ways it could turn out. You know, it's just how it went today. We got another game at home next week, so let's get back to it.
You mentioned in the league's aura, one thing the receivers were saying, like he was in here talking to guys, giving them tips on the sideline. Obviously, he's not necessarily going to give you tips. I know you're maybe he did. I don't know, but what was he like on the sideline today? You know, just
I didn't see him
engaged.
He was really on our side. I'm assuming because I didn't see him.
Okay.
I was mainly focused on my guys.
Okay. I didn't know if you saw him.
No, I didn't see him.
What did you see from your guys specifically today? I know you mentioned we were chatting Aziz a little bit, but just the group performance as a whole and Dex and.
I just seen a focus, you know, and a will, you know, that we've always had, but I felt like it really came through today. You know, they had that Burrow scramble for like whatever that was for a touchdown. I mean, that can be demoralizing. You know what I'm saying? So the way they bounced back and the way we responded, that's how you're supposed to do it. And like we get a short field turnover, whatever the case may be, get the ball back. That's how you respond. So I take my hat off to my guys on the defense.
Brian, what happened? What happened in that play with Burrow?
With what?
I know you may have to look at it in the film, but the touchdown run, yeah. What exactly happened?
He's seen something. You know, he's seen an opening, and I'm pretty sure he knew he was in man. He knew that all the DBs would be chasing their guy, and he seen an opening and he took it.
Is this
big picture play by him?
Is this the standard for your defense? This type of performance?
And it's a good performance. It's not the standard. Like I said, it's certain opportunities that we can still get. You know, you never want to be complacent. So if there's more plays to make, we should make them.
Burns wasn't the only one. Aziz Ojulari had a day. A couple of sacks, a forced fumble as well. Let's listen to him after the game.
You feel like another pressure? You feel like you did that?
I felt like try to come in, just execute the game plan, do what I can to the best of my abilities, try to help us win. But we fell short today.
Do you feel like you guys as a whole, Burns, you, Dex, put a lot of pressure on them?
I feel like we executed the plan. Fell short, left a lot of plays out there for sure. When we go back and watch tomorrow and tonight, and we'll see what we can fix and try to work on that for sure.
Aziz, now that you're on the field against Burrow, what's the most difficult thing about trying to deal with him?
Man, Burrow, he's so elusive. He's fast, and as you seen today, when you get there, you got to get him down all the way for sure, because he's elusive and he's a great player.
It's a high-scoring offense.
Yeah.
You held them to 17 points. You have to feel like defensively you did everything you could to win this game.
Man, I know it's tough. We definitely left some plays out there, and we want back for sure. We got to shake it off and move on to the next week now.
How were you able to get such good pressure on Joe Burrow? Lived in the backfield all day.
Hats off to the coaches and the staff, everyone working every week at practice, trying to just combative rush as a unit, and just keep rushing every day.
Aziz, after Tracy got the 1-yard touchdown, made it 7-7, they come right back and get a field goal. How demoralizing was it to give up the go-ahead points like that?
It's tough, It's tough, We always want to stop the offense when they're out there and give up no points, but it's the NFL and they got great players on that side of the ball. We just got to come back harder next time.
At the end of the game, they're trying to milk the clock, and then they wind up busting one for the final touchdown. I'm sure that had to be very frustrating.
Yeah, it was frustrating for sure. He busted it up the 30 right up the middle. It looked like he was out of there. It was a tough play. It was a tough way to end.
That's Aziz Ojulari and Paul. We were talking about this earlier. The type of game we saw from the pass rush today, that was what Joe Shane pictured when he traded for Aziz Ojulari. I mean, he traded for Brian Burns, extends Dexter Lawrence's contract, spends the top 10 pick on Kayvon Thibodeau. Ojulari was a second-round pick. This is what he was looking for. This Giants front was a huge reason why the Bengals could not make any of those huge plays down the field in rhythm like we've seen them make over the course of this year, because their front really, I think, flummoxed Joe Burrow in this game, which, as we spoke about a lot on the pregame show, is not an easy thing to do, given how in control of the game Burrow usually is.
4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. I don't think there's any doubt that they impeded Burrow. We mentioned that the Bengals came into this game averaging 28 points a game this season.
Yep.
And more than that in all but their first game.
Yep.
So, yes, you're absolutely right. This Giants front, and Shane Bowen did rely on them an awful lot tonight. They did a very, very solid job of containing. They didn't beat them. They didn't knock them out. But they did a good job containing the Bengals' pass game as best as they could.
They also stopped the run well. The Bengals' run game didn't get off in this game either.
Yeah.
They did a pretty good job against the run.
I thought they were solid.
Yeah, I mean, the front, you can't be mad at what they did. All right,
No.
let's get to the calls here, guys. 888-808-1019. We got about another 20 minutes or so before we say goodbye. Let's get in as many calls as we can. Mark in Connecticut has been holding the longest. What's up, Mark?
Hey, guys. Thank you so much. I thought the defense played great tonight. Here's what gets me, and I want to root for Dable, and I want to root for Jones. I want him to do well. Dable seemed like he had it in his mind the entire game that we're going to pass. Whatever it was, we're going to throw the ball. And there was a point in the second half, it was a first down. They ran the ball to Tracy. He got 9 yards, and then on second down, they throw the ball. So instead of 2nd and 1 and pounding the ball and getting some momentum, they threw it. And then it might have, I'm not clear, but it might have been like, maybe it was one of those plays where they had to go for it on 4th down. But it seems to me, if you're running the ball, if you get 9 yards on 1st down, run it again. Like Bill Parcells used to run up the same play 5 times, and he would say, I'm going to run
caller.
this
Well, Mark, there is an argument to be made that a 2nd and 1 is an opportunity to take a shot.
Yeah.
Because you can gain the 1 yard on 3rd down. So I get the overall theme of your call, and I think you have a better argument in the first half where on their first 3 possessions, they only had 2 traditional running back runs on their first 3 possessions. I think in the second half, they did lean into the traditional running game a little bit better. And I don't necessarily mind trying to maybe make a bigger play through the air on a 2nd and 1, given you can then go ahead. And they ended up running for 2 yards on third down.
They didn't do that, though.
Play.
I said, Paul, a couple of times, Paul, where the Giants did get 9 yards, whether it was a pass or whether the run, where they got up and did a quarterback sneak on 2nd and 1. And I was like, man, why don't you take a shot?
Yeah, that was later in that drive when they did that a couple times.
And then they got 2nd and 3, and they actually took a shot on 2nd and 3, which was good. But, look, we can pick and point, but at the end of the day, no matter what's called out there, the Giants have to execute. No matter what's called out there. Whether it's the right time to do this or that, the Giants have to execute. I'm not going to say Daboll didn't call a good game because it wasn't executed. Whatever that he called, it wasn't executed. Quarterback didn't play well enough. The receivers didn't play well enough. The running game didn't hold up long enough. Offensive line took a step back. We saw some great things up in Seattle. I didn't see that on offense today at all. 7 points is not going to win you any game. Every single team scores more than 7 points.
And Daboll had plays called in the first half that could have turned into big chunk plays, and the Giants players were not able to execute those plays.
Interesting, in talking to players downstairs, a number of them, including Tyrone Tracy, on this third quarter drive that Mark referred to, and that's where he made his mistake. His point may be valid in some other parts of the game, but not here, because that's a 16-play, 79-yard touchdown drive, 11 runs, 5 passes. So I'm sorry, Mark, you got it backwards on that drive. That was a bad drive to pick.
Now, if you want to argue that maybe you could have leaned into it a little bit more in the first half and done something like that earlier, I could understand that argument better.
Exactly. But on this particular drive, even John Runyon told me in the locker room after the game, he said, you know what, that might have been our best drive of the season.
Well, it's definitely the best drive of the game.
That's how good he felt about how they drove that ball. But what he and Tracy also told me, and this bothered me a little bit, and it's something that is debatable. It's a point that Jonathan and I talked about during the game. Giants seem to have a little more tempo coming in and out of the huddle. They seem to be getting up to the line quicker.
On that drive, they went no huddle the whole drive.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, they might just circle around a little bit like a bunch of sharks in the water and then get right up to the line.
Yeah, muddle huddle, the muddle huddle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not even full huddles. And I said to Jonathan, and we've talked about this in other games too, Jonathan. I'm one, John. Sometimes I think, and this is not a criticism of Daboll, but I think in general sometimes coaches get too bogged down in all of the machinations in their head, and they sometimes forget the simplistic or easy answer.
Right.
It's just change the tempo.
Right. Well, and I think good job by Daboll doing that in the second half.
And he did.
To get it going. But
and
it is hard.
And look how good it worked.
It is hard to go no huddle for an extended period of time. It doesn't limit the amount of the types of plays you can use, the type of signals you make, and you can't change personnel, obviously. So it does limit what you can do. But I thought it was very ingenious to at least to get something going, to at least try to change the pace a little bit.
It can wear out some of your offensive players, too.
Well,
when
you saw
do that.
Tracy he tapped himself out a couple times during that drive because he was tired.
But I agree with Paul. Paul, he goes for it. Literally, when he says it, they do it. It's like they're hearing him down there on the field. Because when he was like,
that's the problem we're having at home games.
They're hearing you, Paul.
You just sold me out.
But I do like that because as a defender, going against a team that goes no huddle or muddle huddle, it doesn't give you a chance to change guys, to substitute guys, right? Mm-hmm. When the offense substitutes, the defense has a chance to substitute. They literally have to give you time to substitute. Yep. But when they don't, and they keep everybody on the field, you can get guys that not go down, but get a little tired. Guys get a little winded. Maybe you don't have the right personnel out there against what you're facing. You know, I remember years ago, the Giants, we played the Patriots at home, right? We were stuck in dime personnel with Craig Dahl playing weak side linebacker. And they had 11 personnel with Gronk at tight end and Lou Garrett Blunt at running back.
That sounds like a problem.
And they didn't let us change. They didn't let us get off the field.
LeGarrette Blunt,
LeGarrette Blunt, yep. They didn't let us get off the field. They literally ran the ball down our throats because we were stuck in this formation where I was playing middle linebacker, and I'm 225. Craig Dahl is maybe 195. He's in the A-gap. So like you can catch teams
Right.
like that, with the not the right personnel, and you can do things because you can exploit what they have on the field. I think the Giants took advantage of that, and I think what Paul's saying during the games is like, why don't they do that a little bit more frequently? Because they've had success doing it. We've seen it happen tonight. We've seen it happen in the past.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't had to do it because their offense against Seattle moved the ball up and down the field, and they've had other games where they've moved the ball pretty well, even if they weren't able to convert in the red zone. All right, let's go back to the phones and say what's up to Ryan in Scotch Plains. He is up next on Giants Extra Point. Ryan, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up, Ryan?
Hey, so, I just would like to just talk about a little bit that, I think 2 years ago we had a lot of success watching Daniel Jones be a running part of the offense, right? Obviously.
Sure.
That was very obvious 2 years ago. So, we saw a little bit of – I think we saw the most of that last week this season. And I just wonder why Dable, tries to get away from that a little bit. Like, I understand you want to protect Jones, but there is a clause in his contract. If he gets hurt, they don't got to pay the guy. I'm not trying to say that throw him out there and let him get nailed, but you could have
Ryan, I want to correct you real quick. There is a clause now. If the reports are true, there's a clause in their contract. If he gets hurt, they do have to pay him. It's the opposite. If he gets hurt, they're on the hook. They're not off the hook. It's the opposite.
There is an injury guarantee, from what we understand.
Yeah, but I saw some design runs. I saw quarterback draws. I saw some quarterback sweeps and powers today.
No, that's okay.
But also, listen, they didn't extend a lot of drives.
Thanks for the call, Ryan. Appreciate it.
They did 3 and outs. They had a lot of 4 or 5 play drives where they had to punt the football. If they extend the drive a little bit longer, I think you would definitely see Daniel Jones as a runner because he is an integral part, not just throwing the football, but running the football with his legs. I don't like how Daniel Jones takes as much damage as he does.
He lowered his shoulder a couple times today, dude.
And I'm not talking about him sitting in the pocket getting blindsided by a sack. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about as he extends the play, he gets a first down, he doesn't get a first down, whatever it is. As he gets outside the pocket as a quarterback, first of all, you're not protected anymore. You're not protected as you run the football as a quarterback. You become a running back. A lot of these running backs are a lot more bigger. They're a lot more stout. They can kind of take the damage. They have bigger shoulder pads. They have bigger knee pads and thigh pads in. They can take it. Daniel Jones, throughout his whole entire career, he has never done a good job in protecting himself. And you look at somebody like Joe Burrow, who breaks a long run. He doesn't get hit. He slides. He runs out of bounds. Daniel Jones has had such a bad habit of not running out of bounds and not protecting himself that guys take shots on him when they don't take shots on other quarterbacks because they know that quarterback is not going to give himself up to the defense. And Daniel Jones does that. Like that one I think he did get the first down, but if he would have ran forward and kind of dove for the first down, he would have been fine. But what he did was he extended the play a little bit longer and went laterally and got hit by 2 guys.
All right, so I used one of my analytics website. This is Pro Football Focus. So I did my best to sort design run plays just for quarterbacks. So take a guess who leads the league in design runs out of the quarterback position this year.
I don't think that was a question.
No.
I think we all know
who do you
that
think?
The guy
is.
from Baltimore.
Yeah,
correct.
Lamar Jackson.
And who's tied with him? This also should not surprise you.
The guy from Washington?
The guy from Philadelphia.
Oh,
Jalen
okay.
Hurts. So they're tied at 45 rushing
Yeah, but a
attempts.
bunch of those are the tush push, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Third in the league this year in design rush attempts from the quarterback position, Daniel Jones.
Is it?
38. He's got 7 more than Jaden Daniels and 1 more than Justin Fields, who's in 4th. So Fields is 37, Daniels is 31. Jones is 3rd in the NFL in design quarterback runs at 38. And by the way, they have. I'm not a big PFF grade guy, but he actually is he's the highest graded quarterback on design quarterback runs this year. So he's been effective when he's done it.
I mean, he was effective tonight with his legs.
He was.
He got some first downs.
Yeah.
He extended some drives. That's always been a strong point of Daniel Jones' game. But that's why I'm so critical because protect yourself, bro. These defenders are not going to do that.
There was the one play where he dropped the shoulder, and his right shoulder got
smashed.
Right? It got smashed.
He has to protect himself better, man.
The stat they're not giving you there, John, and I guarantee it, is how many hits he took on those design runs.
I don't have that one for you.
I know.
Sorry.
But I'm telling you
because
now,
Lamar Jackson tends to get down a lot better than Daniel
Jones leads the league in getting hit.
Well, Hurts might too. Hurts doesn't get down either. He ends up taking a lot of hits too.
You're
But
right.
those 2 guys are probably at the top of the league in terms of number of hits taken, no question about it. All right, let's take a quick timeout. We got a couple more pieces of sound from downstairs. We'll try to squeeze in 1 or 2 more calls. We'll come back. One last segment of Giants Extra Point. Giants fall to the Bengals 17-7. We'll be right back right here on The Fan.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is Tyrone Tracy Jr., and you're listening to the radio home of Big Blue, The Fan, WFAN, and WFAN-FM New York.
Giants TV presented by Bob's Discount Furniture is the official connected TV app of the Giants, available for free right now on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, all your smart TVs, and inside the Giants mobile app. Stream game highlights, interviews, TV shows, and more exclusive video content with Giants TV. Giants Extra Point, Schmeelk, Casillas, Tino. Bengals defeat the Giants 17-7. Tyrone Tracy, over 100 yards from scrimmage for the Giants today, over 50 on the ground and in the air. Let's listen to him after the game.
The right way all the time. So when we do that, that's when we start being a great offense.
So I know you obviously don't want to focus necessarily on how you play and come down a loss per se, but this is now 2 weeks in a row where you've been productive. And I think last week people were like, oh, all right, he played pretty well, but now you've done it again. So I think people are starting to learn who you are. What do you think you've shown now over a couple games about I'm here and I can play?
I mean, it's not necessarily I'm just up there playing football, man. You know what I'm saying? I've been this way since high school. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing nothing different. I'm not doing nothing extraordinary. I'm going out there just being me. You know what I'm saying? The best of my abilities. And like I said when I first got here, when y'all interviewed me, I'm going to take advantage of my opportunities the best I can. So whenever the ball's in my hands, whenever I get a chance to make a play, I'm going to do my best to make a play.
Is that one of those things? Do you think you've been able to do what you do because you don't think it's anything that's out of your character, out of your standard in terms of the opportunities you're being given? You feel like you've earned them and you're ready to do whatever it takes?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I earned everything that I have right now. In the NFL, nothing is given, so you have to earn everything. And I think I've done a good job of taking advantage of the opportunity that I've been given up to this point. So, yeah, I mean, when you say that I think that I've earned everything, I definitely do think I've earned everything that I have right now.
How much does this feel like a missed opportunity for you guys tonight?
It feels like a huge missed opportunity just because, if you ask anybody in the locker room, we think that if we executed better offensively, we win the game, But at the same time, you got to make sure that you got to take care of the little details. This is the NFL, you can lose any given day, any Sunday, Thursday, Monday, whatever day you play. But you got to make sure, again, like I said, take care of the little details, take care of the fundamentals. And when you don't do that, that's when, you miss out on opportunities to, make a game-changing play or, or, change the score or whatever it may be, So I think we just got to go back to the drawing board, make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, our house, individually, position, and then as an offense, do our work going forward.
That's Tyrone Tracy after the game. And, guys, look, Devin Singletary is going to be back next week after, whatever. It'll be at some point from that groin injury. He was doubtful heading into the game. We'll see where he is next week. But I think we know Tyrone Tracy's a guy that you have to now get touches every week, given his ability in the passing game and in the run game, JC.
Yeah, he's a lot more impressive than I even thought. He's a physical guy, a lot more than I thought, being that he has a wide receiver background.
He runs through tackles.
He runs north and south, but he has great lateral movement. He can get in and out. And that run he had last week, I think it was a 27-yard run where he pressed the line of scrimmage, got the linebackers in the hole, and bounced it outside. That looked like one of the top-tier running backs in the league that can do that because they've been in the league and they understand how to run the football. You don't do that as a new running back, which he is. He's almost a new running back because he's only been playing running back for, 3 years now?
This is the second year since high school playing running back.
And the way he's running the football, how he catches the ball flawlessly and gets up the field, he looks like a veteran in the league. He's not a young rookie like you talked about earlier. He's 24 years old. But he looks like he has a lot more than 2 years' experience at the running back position.
The most impressive thing for me, fellas, is that as a wide receiver, you're usually not having to navigate a lot of traffic once the ball gets into your hands. Well, from the backfield, there's an awful lot of traffic in a very
100%.
small space when you get that football. and he seems to navigate it incredibly well for a guy who, hasn't had that much experience.
And not just the navigation, the manipulation of the defenders. The way you press the line, the way you angle towards your – like if you get the ball and just bounce it straight out, that's easy for the linebackers. They can flow over top. They can get through the garbage that's in front of them, right? The reason why the linebackers do bag drills, because they always have to step and move over things. When you press the line of scrimmage and the linebackers get up to the line of scrimmage, it's almost impossible for them to bounce outside, but not for a running back that can move so well laterally like he can.
And he helps set up his blockers. He makes offensive linemen
100%.
better by setting his blockers
And it's
up.
not just physically, it's also the vision.
No, correct, absolutely.
Very important.
All right, we're going to try to squeeze in 2 more calls here, Ronnie and Matt. Let's go to Ronnie and Brick before we say goodbye. Then we'll get to you next, Matt. Ronnie, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, fellas? I didn't really expect them to win this game tonight. They had a lot of injuries coming into the game. We'll be missing a lot of key players. The defense played phenomenal, I thought. I'm really impressed with the defense. I'm impressed with Tracy as well.
Yeah, Ronnie, you say that, though, but if I would have told you before the game, if the Bengals would have only scored 17, I bet you thought the Giants would have won.
Yeah, and I think they let them score on that last play. And then the one time that they did score was, it was a broken play. Burrow should have never had a 47-yard touchdown, but it happens during games. Just the one thing, I want to say is, I think it's got to be time to move on from Daniel Jones. It's got to be one of the worst contracts in sports. You held the Bengals to 17 points, and you couldn't win the game at home. 40 minutes. I know people they like to give him credit for all these little things because he didn't throw 20 interceptions today. He plays improving. You know what I mean? $40 million a year. I want to see some touchdowns. They don't have a touchdown at home yet this year, a throwing touchdown. You know what I mean? Come on, $40 million a year. You got to throw. I want to see 250 yards passing, 3 touchdowns once in a while. And he can't do that. He can't throw over 20 yards. He can't.
Here's the frustrating part of it. In 3 out of his last 4 games before tonight, he threw for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 games. But tonight, he absolutely was not good enough to win this football game. You're absolutely right about that. In terms of the contract, right now in terms of average per year, I think he ranks around 14th or 15th in the league.
Correct.
Which is right in the middle of the league. I know $40 million sounds like a big number, and it is a big number. I mean, it's a good amount of the salary cap. But with where quarterbacks are, he's around 15th right now. But look, we let off the postgame show with this. You cannot win football games by scoring 7 points.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important player on your offense is the quarterback. We know that, right? So he needed to play better in this game. A lot of people on the offense need to play better in this game. As Brian Dable said, he could have called plays better in this game. He said that in the postgame show. It starts with him. So there's a lot of blame to go around, but was Daniel Jones good enough tonight to win this football game? No, the team scored 7 points, and he's the quarterback. He'd be the first one to say that.
Although the only thing that I would add, John, is that they had 2 missed field goals. So it's going to go down to the books as 7 points.
All right, well,
one of them's very makeable. The other one, it's a little much.
10 points. All right. You aren't going to win any NFL game scoring 10 points.
Again, I get it. I'm nitpicking here, but the 7 just sounds a whole lot worse because they were in scoring position 3 other times. He threw a bad pick.
Look, I'm not counting the last field goal. The Bengals are playing prevent defense up 2 scores.
All right.
I'm not counting the last
but
field goal.
He threw a bad pick at the 14?
That's a bad pick.
Very bad pick, and that was on him. Threw off his back foot with a guy charging him right in the face. I don't understand what he was trying to do.
He was trying to throw out of the back of the end zone. That's what he said.
Take the sack.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
First down, right?
That's just.
It would have been 2nd and 16 or 2nd and 17. Whatever. That's fine.
That's
Deal
just
with that.
That's a terrible play that he cannot try to make.
And then on the overpass to Wan'Dale Robinson, you can't miss that throw.
Yeah. I mean, look. It's a shame because he'd played 1 month of really good football, and then today he had a stinker.
Yeah, definitely seen him progression every week. From week 1,
when he was
week
not
2,
good.
Week 3, week 4,
right.
week 5 in Seattle.
No, he's improved. He's been good the last 4 weeks. He's played well.
Very optimistic coming into this game against this Bengals defense, which was, pretty much horrendous. what Baltimore did to them last week, scoring 41 points. To only muster up 7 points at home, man, it's I think disappointing is a very understated word for sure.
Let's wrap things up on the phones with Matt in Long Island. Matt, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight? Listen, when the defense played phenomenal, you held this Bengals team at 30 points. But, again, the offense, they look flat. I mean, I expected more. And what's frustrating me more, you look at the lack. This is why they got Malik Neighbor and make these explosive plays. There's nothing there to play on. But also, the Giants left points in the Bengals' territory, like the interception, the missed field goal, not the last missed field goal, the other one. Like, the defense, they gave you position. How many you really, let's be honest, you guys scored like, 6 more points to win that game, and they failed. The kicking is a huge concern. That's not the only thing, but it frustrates you in the NFL when you can't contribute on what the Bengals gave you. And it's just like the play calling is so bland, like run, pass. It's like what would Brian Daboll understand how he tried to coach the game? It's kind of similar to the Dallas game. You didn't need much to win this game, but I feel like it was right in front of you tonight. That's the frustrating thing. How many opportunities in the NFL are you going to get a chance to win a game like this? It's not much, and I'm sorry. Going forward, the Giants have got to be better. They got to clean up these mistakes because it's just, especially at home, they look like a different football team. It's just, it was bad.
You know,
Matt, zero arguments from any of us here. Everything you said is correct.
I like what you're saying because
thanks for the call.
Simply put, make the standard plays that you're expected to make, and you got a whole lot more points. In the last month, it's been the receivers who didn't make the standard plays that they were expected to make. Today, Daniel Jones was part of that.
Well, in fairness, he missed some deep throws, not last week, but a couple weeks before that, too. He had.
But again, 16 drops coming into the game led the NFL.
No, 100%. No argument. We've talked a lot about their drops. And I will say this is not an excuse. This is simply an observation. We did not have nearly, and again, there were exceptions like the Wanda Robinson overroute. There was not nearly enough separation from the wide receivers in this game against a Bengals secondary that has not been very good this year. And I think, unlike last week when they did a great job without him, I think this week you felt not having Malik Neighbors on the field.
I thought the Bengals DBs were cheating on a lot of the short routes. It almost looked like they were overplaying the short routes or underplaying, however you want to call the direction of what they were doing. They were sneaking up and biting on a bunch of the short stuff.
Well, how do you get them to stop that?
Got to get hit something.
Got to make the plays down.
Got to make some plays downfield.
And
no doubt.
They got that one DPI,
but if
that's it.
If you look at the game, like you said, statistically, both teams are very similar. The Giants outgained the Bengals.
Yeah, by 5 yards, 309 to 304,
right,
whatever it was.
Just a little bit. But the score is 10 points. That's 2 scores.
Right.
Why? Because of big plays.
Correct.
Right? Joe Burrow didn't look like Joe Burrow tonight. And I didn't think that was going to happen.
And the one time the Giants got in the Bengals red zone, one of 2 times, they threw the interception.
I mean, the huge difference tonight was the big plays allowed because, yes, the Giants defense did enough, to win a game at home, giving up 17 points, but it didn't do enough when your offense only scores 7 points. No one can predict that. Definitely against the Bengals defense that has been giving up literally 40 points last week. Yes, Lamar Jackson is explosive and the Baltimore offense is explosive. Yes. But the Giants at home, they have to figure it out. They have to figure it out.
So Paul's face looks like Indiana Jones when he found the Holy Grail here. I'm curious what he's noticed in the stat sheet.
You know what sounds really nuts? Let me read this aloud to you fellas and tell me that it doesn't make you shake your head. Burrow had 19 completions for 208 yards. Jones had 22 for 205. That is a very similar passing stat line. And
I will say, though, probably a good 30 or 40 of those came on the last garbage time drive for Jones.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But, I mean, as much as we're talking about Jones struggling, that does really show you that Joe Burrow was not Joe Burrow today.
No, that's the Giants' defense really limited him.
That's the best evidence of all.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, 100%. All right, guys. So now we're in a very familiar situation. Great job on the phones, guys. Appreciate your calls tonight. I know it's late. I know you guys want to talk Giants football and probably some Mets baseball. Mets down 1-0 in the NLCS.
The Dodgers beat them.
Paul, relax.
I'm just checking.
All right, Captain Shea.
I didn't.
Relax.
I seriously
relax.
I
The Yankees play tomorrow. Let's not bring bad juju on the Yankees. All right, please.
You're right.
Let's calm down over there.
Yep.
Let's calm down. All right. So now the Giants in a very familiar situation. All right, inviting Philadelphia into their home building, and now what's going to be a crucial game next week. Giants at 2-4, but just 2 games back of first place in the division. The Commanders are just 4-2. Eagles are just 3-2. Dallas is just 3-3. They have their bye next week.
Yeah.
This division is still super tight. No one's running away with this thing. The Eagles barely beat the Cleveland Browns, who might be the worst team in football this week. They haven't looked impressive. The Commanders have a rookie quarterback. Their defense was absolutely obliterated today by the Ravens, though, because of Jaden Daniels' play. He's continuing to play well. He kept that game close for them. The Giants still have some opportunities moving forward here, but here comes the Dragon. They beat them last year, finally, after years of struggling against them.
Best game of the year for the Giants last year.
Another time where now, the Eagles weren't playing for a ton in that game, but still.
I know. Giants played really well.
Now they have to, again, in a very important game, take on one of their demons. It's the Eagles and the Cowboys. They've been their demons the last 8 or 9 years. They're going to have to take them on now again at home in a crucial, crucial game.
Yeah. Now, the good news is Azeez Ojulari showed you that they could make up for the loss of Thibodeau on defense. He really did play efficiently today, made some really important plays.
Not just efficiently, he was explosive.
And that's really good. That's really, really, really good.
Better offensive line next week, though, with the Eagles.
Well,
that's not going to be nearly as easy.
Understood. My bigger concern.
We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, we will. But my bigger concern right now is I really don't know where Andrew Thomas stands.
Now, the Eagles' pass rush isn't what it used to be either, which is one of the reasons why they're not quite as dynamic.
Well, that's true, but if this Giants' offensive line has to be juggled,
I understand.
It's an uncomfortable situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's still when we played our game preseason, we played the game. And the way we phrased it, who the Giants could least afford to lose on offense? But I had to put the caveat, not including Andrew Thomas, because that was the guy all of us were going to pick. Yes. So needless to say, that injury is going to be key. And you mentioned number 26, JC, and that's obviously going to be a huge part of the conversation over the course of this week.
Yeah, the Giants can't allow him to come in here and have a career day because the Eagles are probably thinking that. We're going to go in there and you're going to have a career day in the stadium that, basically let you go, And listen, first week when they played on that Friday in Brazil, right, I was at a sports bar watching that game. And every single person, when Saquon scored his 3rd touchdown, I did it too. We all just put our heads down. Like, dang, that's supposed to be our guy, but he's not. But that's the NFL. A lot of guys don't stay on the team forever. I played on 4. And I won a Super Bowl in New Orleans my rookie year, and, it is what it is. But in the division is the rough part.
Sure.
And even John Mara said it, too.
John Mara said it in Hard Knocks.
John Mara said it in the Hard Knocks.
Let me say this. If the game does turn out to be a tug of war at a really, really close game, the Giants better get this kicking situation squared.
Oh, that's a really good point. Well, that's a really good point. And we got to see if they decide to make any moves with that this week, too. So, and I'll say this, too, and we'll talk more about this during the week on Big Blue Kickoff Live, by the way, guys. We're live every day, 12:30, right on Giants.com, Giants mobile app. We take your calls. Make sure you tune in over the course of the week, and we'll talk about this. But I think one of the reasons you decide not to pay a running back is because of what Tyron Tracy's doing. Yeah. Right? When you can go pluck a running back in the 5th round of the draft that's played for 1 year in college out of Purdue, and he shows up and in his first 2 games gives you the production he gave you, that's why you don't go out there and you don't
you got
break
guys,
the bank
you got guys around the league that's doing it. Austin Eckler.
And that doesn't take anything away from
Isaiah
Saquon.
Pacheco.
Great player, but that's what the thinking is with that.
Yeah, it's understandable.
By the way, for the folks that don't know how this works, I figure we should at least bring this up because I know you're fascinated by it too. So the Jets are playing here tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, right? So they've already have one end zone completely erased. They already have the Jets stenciled on one end zone. They have the giant helmet in midfield completely erased, and they're stenciling the Jets logo as we speak. And the right end zone is almost completely erased. These guys that work the stadium, folks, they're going to be working through the night. It's going to be a long, long day for them to get the stadium ready. But this just gives the idea. These guys are already getting the field ready. We already see the outline of the Jets in one end zone. The Giants, you would have no idea the Giants played in the stadium 2.5 hours
The
ago.
only thing you could see is the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, the Ring of Honor is the only thing that's on, and the blue lights still on top of
lights,
MetLife Stadium. Otherwise, you would have no idea. The banners have gone off the walls that the Giants played here 2 hours ago.
They do a good job, man.
Kudos to the MetLife Stadium crew for getting this thing
Absolutely.
turned around. And hopefully you guys get just a little bit of sleep tonight. I doubt it, but hopefully you get just a little bit. Gentlemen, we'll talk to you next week. Pre-game on Sunday at 11 a.m. For Giants and Eagles. Giants Extra Point was brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. Citizens is made ready for Giants fans. Hackensack Meridian Health, keep getting better. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. And by Moody's, decode risk, unlock opportunity. Learn more at Moody's.com. As I mentioned, stay tuned to Big Blue Kickoff Live throughout the week. We're live every day on Giants.com at 12:30. We'll take your calls and talk Giants football with you. And, of course, the Giants Huddle podcast. Make sure you check that out as well. You can find all the Giants podcasts at Giants.com and the Giants app. Or just search for Giants Podcast Network, Giants Huddle Podcast, or Big Blue Kickoff Live on your favorite podcast platform. For Bob Papa, Carl Banks, and Howard Cross, for my pre- and post-game compadres, Jonathan Casillas and Paul Dottino, and our entire crew, I am John Schmeelk, signing off from MetLife Stadium. The Giants fall to the Bengals 17-7. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food no matter what you're craving. From 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings. Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week all season long. Uber Eats, the official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now for game day. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.